Hello friends and welcome to episode 227. It's a Crewcast. The whole crew is here. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Why don't you grab a beer? We're going to be talking about a bunch of games here. We got a Labyrinth of the Demon King, Doom the Dark Ages, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, and Jesse's back from PAX Boston. The masshole is back, or maybe Jeremy's the masshole. Jeremy, have you ever been called a masshole in your life, Jeremy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Really? Yeah, I mean, mostly jokingly. I've never cut someone off in traffic, and although the biggest asshole I've ever had as a neighbor in California turned out to be from Massachusetts, so it was sort of I got away from Massachusetts and I was like, I really miss it. And then the one person from Boston was like, I'm gonna call the cops on you for watching a movie a little too loud at 7 p.m.
Terrific. Jesse, it wasn't The Town. That was the problem. You weren't watching The Town. If it was The Town, you would have been okay. Or
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
My boy's wicked smart.
Jesse, what was the most Boston thing you did at PAX this past week?
We visited the cop slide at City Hall.
You are kidding me. That's where that is?
I was so shocked to learn that that's where the big slide is, that the cop falls down and breaks his neck.
Beeps it.
We had to
gun
go.
Comes off or something.
It was like visiting the Statue of Liberty, but for more important things, obviously.
Did you go down the slide?
I personally didn't, because I don't have health care in America, and I don't want to have to pay for that. So my buddy went down, and it's not that crazy. The cop perhaps was playing it up. Why would a cop ever do that? It was a good time, though. They had smaller slides for children, and I loved going on those ones, but that was it. Yeah. But it was so cool to see. I saluted it and everything.
Wow.
It was awesome. I had a great time.
It's an important thing. You went to the little coin machine and got your coin bent with the picture of the slide on it.
No, but we did go through Faneuil Hall. I hadn't done that yet. It's just a gift shop.
Faneuil Hall?
No, Faneuil. Sorry.
Oh, what's that?
It's, I don't know, an old market, some sort of building. Jeremy, help me out. The old City Hall, is that what it is?
It's when you're from a place and you never do any of the touristy shit. I don't know any of the history of Faneuil Hall. Yeah, I mean, it's currently a bunch of overpriced shops and kind of touristy stuff.
But if you go in the basement, you can learn about slavery and how that was a thing.
Yeah,
and it was very interesting. There
and
were a lot
Boston, we did it in Boston, but also we were super
we were chill.
We didn't really like it at all.
Yeah, exactly. We had a lot of middle-aged women who I think their children had just left them there, sitting there on the bench. They watched it play on loop twice. It was awesome.
Wow,
I felt so bad for them.
it.
No, I hope not.
I hope they rename it Faneuil Hall in the future. It gets
falls
give them
3 weeks,
and they sort of they take over. That'd be pretty good. Frank, what's the best named place you have seen wrestling in? And you can't say the Ukrainian Cultural Center because that's obviously the winner.
No, I always say Korakuen Hall, but there's one place I haven't been to yet that I want to go to called Ryogoku Kokiki Kagen.
Whoa.
Yeah. Ryogoku Kokiki Kagen. It's a giant sumo hall tournament, and a bit is if a wrestler can pronounce it properly or not. There's a famous promo video of Mei Iwatani stumbling through it, and everyone else is cracking up, but it's Ryogoku Kokiki Kagen. So
Ryogoku Kokiki Kagen.
That's it. Yeah, Ryogoku
Is that
Kokiki Kagen.
what Ryu does in Street Fighter? Is that what he yells?
So in 1994, they had the Street Fighter 2 tournament at Ryogoku Kokiki Kagen, and so it's a legit famous place. But they had a giant Street Fighter tournament back in 1994. So it's a famous sumo hall. But I've yet to actually go there. But I think I've hit every other wrestling venue.
You've got to go there and flex on them and just say the name 3 times.
Ryogoku Kokiki Kagen. Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Pretend you can't find it and ask some locals. You could be like that guy. You could be like that guy. What's his name? Xiaoma, the guy who does he speaks 10,000 languages. Do you ever see that fucking dude?
Yeah. This is the guy who learns a little bit of every fucking language so that he can go to Swahili district in whatever part of New York and speak perfect Swahili. And they're holy shit.
I can't tell tell if he's like a really good like linguist or if he's a really good scam artist. Like he's good at like spending 2 days of like learning 6 particular phrases so he can run out and chat. He seems pretty good. Although the one time I got the insight into if he's actually good is when he did Irish. And it was like kind of funky. Like I think the people listening to him were like being generous, like, you know what I mean, like trying to like interpret what he was saying because his pronunciation was like all over the place. But
it's like when you go to Japan and people are like, oh, Nihongo Jozu, and they're saying like your Japanese is, you know, excellent or like skillful, but what they're actually saying is like, oh god, he's trying so hard and it's terrible.
Exactly. Neo Goku Kiki Kagen.
Yeah, Rio Goku.
Rio, oh shit, okay,
Rio
I fucked
Goku
up the start.
Kagen.
That's not good. You know what I won't fuck up? Our Battle Pass holders who are here to sponsor our work, to give us money for art. It's called patronage. Maybe you've heard it. You can go to patronage.net/noclip and it might automatically send you to the actual page. And you can become a Battle Pass holder too, or give us a slightly more normal amount of money. Unlike these people, Love Preet, Ute, Dwayne The Rock Lobster, Anthony Thomas, Nico Passateri, Itzami Ferrario, Penelope Hayes, Senator Armstrong, Harry Flanagan, Juice, Arno, Jose R., Matt Pearson, James Brown, Mark Ross, Tucker Morgan, Goddison, David McGarry, Sven Hooster, Pez, John Akers, Uint Nate, Tim Robinson, love your work, Forrest Pruitt, Eric, that's not his name, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Christophe Fitui, Cameron Ladd. Actually choked on that one. Sorry, Cameron.
He's going to die saying that one day.
Cameron made me choke. Zachary Snyder, Alex Couchet, George Sikotis, Jacob Godserve, Entheogen, James Med, Tohir Tiliev, and Ryson, and all of the thousands of other incredible patrons who support us over on that web zone I talked about. We got to talk about. First of all, a correction. Unfortunately, I did not do my research last week. We talked.
How dare you?
We did. Yeah. Hey, look, we talked about Giant Bomb ending. It turns out I was wrong. Giant Bomb is not ending, and I just want to personally apologize to all of the Giant Bomb duders for putting that out there in the world. Jesse, I assume you were at the announcement at PAX.
You know me. I definitely wasn't. I saw it. I saw Dan and Jan on their way in, not to the panel, but I saw them like while I was going towards PAX, and I was like, something good's gonna happen. They looked happier than people who just got fired should be. So that was a good sign. But after that, I was with my wife and I was with my friend, and my wife brought her friend, so we were getting dinner, and I was like, I'm not skipping dinner to go to this because I know what it is. Right. I know it's gonna be good, so it's okay. It's live streamed, so I'm sorry I didn't get to be there for the moment, but it was cool, and everyone was very excited on Sunday to know that Giant Bomb was back, baby.
Yeah,
we're back.
So the news was the Giant Bomb was basically, I mean, Giant Bomb had never been closed, but with Jeff Garb and Mike Mignotti sort of getting kicked out, and who knows who else got kicked out. The way this went down, I'm assuming if they sold this to Bacalar and to Grub, that maybe both of them were out. Dan, I know, I don't know if he was let go, but he kind of looked like he was trying to get let go online for a few days there. It was all very strange. But obviously, you know, a Giant Bomb, as much work as Jana Choa does over at giantbomb.com, an entire website cannot be run by one person. And what it sounds like is, and I've heard this as well from folks I've been talking to, is that and I'm really surprised by this, but that the reaction from this Giant Bomb fan base and sort of the industry writ large was so toxically negative to the fandom brand, and that perhaps whatever plans they had for Giant Bomb, which has always been this sort of also like a sort of a freebie you get at the till when you buy something, you know what I mean? Like it's the buy one, get one free of acquisitions. You know, GameSpot was when Red Ventures got bought by CNET. It was sort of like, it was in the same vertical at CBS Interactive when I worked there. So it kind of got sold along with it. And Giant Bombs was sort of the add-on on the add-on. And then when fandom bought GameSpot and all that stuff, Giant Bomb again, it's just weird to have two gaming websites in your portfolio anyway. And Giant Bomb, you know, was sort of I don't know, the add-on to that particular deal as well. So, I'm assuming the numbers didn't add up on fandom side anyway, and they just wanted to cut their losses. But it was crazy to hear that essentially what we have heard has happened is that, according to those folks, fandom have. I assume none of this is done yet because you just don't get an acquisition signed off in 4 days. Like there's so much legal stuff you have to do. Usually you get lawyers go through like 20 years of paperwork to make sure there's no like liability exposure and fucking God knows what. There's all these other contracts to be signed over. Like it usually takes a particularly long period of time. I know people who were sort of in charge of the previous 2 acquisitions, the M&A procedure for those merger and acquisition stuff. And I know that it takes a long time, but apparently it was sold to Bacalar and Grub, and then they have either are planning to or have already essentially created a corporate structure in which it has also been split between Mike Mignotti, Dan Reichert, and Janet Cho. So the 5 of them are equal stakeholders in whatever this new, Duders.llc is.
I was confused by your point about them being able to afford this, but I'm even more confused that they sold it to Jeff Grubb. He doesn't have money.
Well, I was laughing on Twitter saying, like, how much did fandom sell this thing that, like, 5 games journalists were able to buy?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm genuinely fascinated by all this. And, like, none of this will ever come out, right? You can already tell that, non-disparagement contracts have been signed because the tone in regards to fandom has done a complete 180. I don't blame those guys. They have to do the dance, but like there's a lot of positive stuff about fandom coming out when like last week it was all fuck fandom. So, those contracts have clearly been signed. But I don't know. Like, what's your gut feeling? Like,
no idea. Yeah, I mean, there has to be some sort of outside investor, right? This is a ton of money. Or like maybe there's sponsorships that they just like pre-locked and they were able to get credit on it or something. They probably have good enough connections to get something. People saw Giant Bomb closing, or people with money, rather, to be more specific, saw Giant Bomb closing and went, hey, if we can work something out, we can cut a deal with you for a good amount of money. I don't know. That's speculation. I could see it making sense, though, if they needed capital, which, they probably need a little bit of capital. Like, just a little bit.
Yeah, and I think at the start, I definitely thought, like, presumably this is more money than people had lying around in their bank. Because you're talking about the speed of this. Like, it's like, the fastest thing you'll ever pay for is like a mortgage, right? Which is still an incredible amount of paperwork, an incredible amount of legal
crazy how
stuff.
fast it is for something that lasts 30 years of your life.
Yeah. But that still takes like fucking, you sign off on a thing, but it still takes like at least 2 weeks, like California is crazy fast, right? But like other places, it's nowhere near that. Like in Ireland, it's a process that takes like 6 weeks to do all that stuff just because of how it works over there. So at the start, I was like, yeah, they must have gotten somebody, or again, you're not transferring. It's not like you're buying a fucking popsicles. You know what I mean? Like it's the money stuff can happen later. The stuff can be signed now. Maybe there's an agreement in principle that's been established. Maybe they need to find the money. Maybe, I don't think anyone right now wants to remortgage their house if they had a mortgage before all of this interest rate stuff happened pre-COVID. Like, I don't know what the
maybe it's just a
is.
brand acquisition too. Like maybe there's...
It sounds like they're getting everything, like the website
really?
And all that
all the
stuff.
content and everything too. I hate using that word, but yeah.
Yeah. Which honestly might be the biggest issue that's here. Like, I'm fascinated, and maybe I shouldn't be talking about this as openly, considering how close I am to some of these folks, but in many ways, I'm not actually that close to the guys who are running it now. Like, I've worked with a bunch of them in the past. Dan, obviously, is somebody I've been friends with for a long time. I texted him over the weekend. I was chatting to, I sent a message to Grub to say congratulations, and Bacalar, who I've talked to a bunch over the years as well, and was there when I was doing Giant Bomb stuff a couple of years ago. But Mike, I've never talked to. In many ways, I'm really, really happy that this happened, and I'm really, really happy that these guys did it. But as an OG Giant Bomb fan, I'm somewhat bittersweet that none of the original like GB people are involved. Like, I immediately felt like kind of mournful that like Gersman and Vinny and obviously Ryan Davis, didn't get to enjoy this, and obviously Brad and Alex as well. That's just me, you know what I mean? Like, I just think about when you found something and you build something, you know what I mean? Like, to me,
it's sad to watch it end up in other hands.
It is, and I think it's ended up in really good hands, and I'm really happy for those guys. But there's definitely, you know, a sort of a tinge of sadness in my heart that it's, and hopefully maybe those folks will, you know, maybe there'll be some collaborations and things like that. I think that would be kind of cool. But yeah, on the money side, the website is the big question mark for me, because you would think that hosting websites doesn't cost that much, but I think hosting that website does cost a lot.
Yeah, it costs a lot if people go to the websites.
That's the thing. And the other issue with Giant Bomb is that, like, it's been a repository of video game data and information. Like, that's why it was built. So there are, like, you know, there's an API where people pull information from that wiki. There's also just like a lot of links to images that you can directly link to Giant Bomb's servers. So like you can just use those images. So like that server is getting pinged by people who have, you know, links to content that is stored on that server, like images and things like that. Obviously the video stuff is largely propagated to YouTube, but there's definitely like a decade and a half sort of, you know, of internet activity that is sort of baked into the cost of running that website. So that's the thing. And I think that's going to be a tricky one. Like in my head, that's the thing that I'm most fascinated about is like, how do you pay for that? Especially when it's something that's going to cost a lot of money that maybe you're not getting much from anymore.
That's a good point.
Like, and how do you sort of, like, what are the optics around that? Like, how do you make Giant Bomb independent, and then one of the first things that has to happen is the website disappears. You know what I mean? Like that's in my head. Like I'm you know, I love running properties like this, and I like planning stuff, and you know, the money side of it, I'm interested in all that stuff and operating. And so those are the things that immediately come to mind for me. Like I think there's going to be an amazing amount of support for them, especially from the sort of established Giant Bomb fan group. I think like a lot of established, you know, and I consider myself in this as well, like sort of older games journo people building new audience is always the problem. And you see on the Graphtreons, and you see it on YouTube video views for a lot of people who've been around a long time, that, you know, graph goes down slowly, but it goes down, and it's hard to get that thing to go back up again. And you need to, you know what I mean? So that's going to be a challenge for sure. But yeah, I'm super happy for those guys, but I think I think it's going to be, they're in the same boat as the rest of us now. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, and I'm really glad for them, and they'll be so happy to do it. But like this side of the wall is fucking hard, you know, and it's harder the bigger the team you have. And you see how hard people like Kind of Funny have to fucking hustle, you know, like Greg and those guys are, just in terms of being able to keep a lot of people employed full time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm the only full-time employee on Noclip. I think Jeremy last year was you were pretty close, I guess, to that in some respect, but like you're not a full-time employee. Ben over at MinMax is the only full-time employee over there, right? Like the way these operations are able to sort of survive and not be in the red is because it's contract work. You know what I mean? Like I think do Second Wind, I'm guessing the founders are full-time at least over there. I mean, they're earning loads over there. Their Patreon's really impressive, although they're still in the red, right? Their quarterly report they put out, they're
don't look awesome.
No, it doesn't, and that's just that's how hard it is to do this. So if these guys are, I mean, I think they still have their own Patreons and things going on, and I suspect that they will be, you know, not pulling a load of money out of this thing right away. You know, they've got families. Many of them have families. It's, you know, it's a lot of that's a lot of responsibility. But like, yeah, it's tough. And the more I don't know. It's like we tried this with Crew and stuff, or kind of with a lot of stuff last year, where it's like the more work that you make, does it bring in more people? And like, and I feel like Second Wind, they're in that position too, because they're like producing more new shows. And it's like sometimes the more work you do doesn't actually help. Like, I mean, what was the year, Jeremy? I think it was like 2021 maybe, we put out more docs than ever. It was an insane year. Like we put out so many documentaries, and like our Patreon numbers didn't really, like the curve was the exact same look, and you're like, fuck, like it's not like a job where the more hours you work, the more you earn. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they're not like apples on a shelf and people are buying the apples and there's like a direct linear increase in income.
Yeah,
it's more
exactly.
like you do the work and you hope that the holistic perception of it is that you're doing a good job navigating it. And then if there are people who are able to pledge to the Patreon, it's almost like it's more about their life circumstances. And then when the stars align and they're like, oh, I got like $10 a month I could throw, like who's doing good work? And it's like, you just better hope you're doing good work at the time when those individuals are like ready to, you know what I mean? It's totally decoupled from just like the work you do in some way.
You got to get off Graftreon.com. You got to start looking at the stock market. That's what you need to start playing, baby. Watch where people's income, watch the S&P 500. Once it reaches a certain number, then do a call out for patrons. All right.
I think we should just start throwing like bones and like reading tea leaves and shit.
That might be more effective than any other tactic.
That's what I've been
I
doing.
think that's what cryptocurrency is.
Basically, yeah. You know what you should do? I feel like every gaming outlet's path to success is quit all at once every 6 months and open a new thing. And that seems to work for whatever reason.
Okay, we have to invent a fictional overlord who we all work under at Noclip.
Yes.
His name is like John
Dr.
Money
Business
Smith,
or something.
Dr. Money Smith, and he and we all hate him.
We hate him
and
so
every
much.
6 months we go, he's just like riding our asses. We got to quit and start a new thing, and we give it a new name, but it's just Noclip.
We'll call it God Mode or something. Just keep coming up with new cheat names.
I consider God mode so many times, but I was worried I'd end up like God is a Geek, where everyone thinks we're a Christian website.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's true. God Mode would be such a funny name for a Christian game site, though.
I mean, there is money to be made there. Like that's a huge market. You know?
Yeah.
The Christian. Oh, you think we should just like lean
Relevant.
into it?
Let's pivot.
Yeah. we
If you
should
were
get
wondering
into
what the
it.
new name for Noclip Crew was, well,
God mode. We're going full Christian. Apologies to all of our LGBTQ plus and trans fans. We have really sold you down the fucking river. We're going to ask everyone to, Jesse, you're going to have to move to Iowa or somewhere. I don't know. Where's the most Christian nationalist place in America? The White House, am I right? yuck.
Mar-a-Lago.
You said quitting is the way to do that. You actually get like a multiplier if you're fired. I've heard that's
True.
That's the
All right,
way.
hurry
You
up.
get
Send me the
fired.
pink slip. Let's get it
Or
over
you
with.
quit and you pretend you got fired. You go on like Joe Rogan and kind of just say like, "Oh, I got got fired because
they made me quit.
Yeah, they
made me
fired
quit.
because of woke.
because of their woke." Exactly. Yeah.
So I wouldn't
there's
stop
so many strategies
slurring around
to
the office.
getting sympathy money from people.
It's really easy.
There's a whole range of ways to do it. That is not what I'm saying about Giant Bomb. I'm very happy for my duder friends. You know when it's like your little brother. You know when you're like you feel like so close to a thing and it's been part of your life the whole time that you can just kind of like poke fun and razz at it a little.
Yeah,
bit.
but only you can. If anyone else does, you'll beat their ass.
Anyone else,
Anyone,
exactly.
yeah.
I am the biggest Giant Bomb fan in the world. That's why I live in Petaluma, because I have my sort of caterpillar to butterfly like transition into Jeff Gersman is continues. As
You just moved to Bethlehem and we're like,
It's
I'll
like
grow my
it's-
hair out.
I was a little bit embarrassed about it. I was talking to Jeff a few days ago, and I was like, I'd like seen his mum earlier that day because we needed new tires, and like the tire store that she runs is like down the road. So to somebody who is a genuine Giant Bomb fanboy, sometimes it's kind of embarrassing that like things like I could go to another tire shop, but like I know her and it's the closest. It's like a 2-minute drive from my house, so I don't want to not go there because I'm self-conscious about being a fucking fanboy. But
Well, you shouldn't have moved so close to the tire shop on purpose.
I know.
You're like, oh, Jeff's mom
You're
lives
right.
there.
Yeah,
I should move nearby.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
what I did. It's also why I named my daughter Lucha Deer. I've never said her name on any of our podcasts.
Wow, what a reveal.
The fucking it's out there. Really cool to see. I know I'm the big Giant Bomb fan here on the crew. I suspect we will not see something like that from the Polygon folks. Have you guys seen any? I know some people have launched Substacks and things like that. I think Aftermath picked up one or two people or to do contract work, stuff like that. Have you seen anything else?
I've seen some articles dropping. I think Nicole Carpenter did something on sex scenes in video games.
Yeah, I think that was on Aftermath, was it?
Was it? Yeah, something like that.
Or was it No. Yeah, it was. Yeah, was it?
Whatever it was good. It was a good article.
Yes. Yeah, there was a great line about one of the Baldur's Gate guys was brought in just to do sex scene noises, which I thought was very just got good grunts.
They should have just hired you, man. You're so good at it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you do it for free on the pod. They don't even have to pay you.
That'd
be a fun job, but like when even if you're good at your job, you get imposter syndrome. I feel like doing that job, it's like I don't know where the line is on mastery, so I'd feel like I was in the booth like and then after like an hour of that, they're like, all right, we're wrapping, and I would come out and I'd be like, was that good? Was that good? Was that anything? Because like I could do this all day, but I don't know if I'm fucking cooking or not.
And you're like improving, but you kind of run out of lines. You just you kind of gets a bit weird. Like, what if you start getting like real fucking fucking take it, like saying
like,
some shit that you're like,
hey, yeah, if you could just like tone it down a little bit,
like call me daddy. Like just like being somebody can make a great soundboard out of this. Just like really leaning into it. Yeah, Frank, what would you say if you were recording sex scene VO?
I'm not up for a performance, but I could rehearse if you'd like.
Holy shit, it's John Mulaney in here?
Just the neurotic sex scene audio.
Just Woody Allen sex scene, sex game we're playing.
This is all right.
No, actually, you know what? I don't want to play the Woody Allen sex game.
Don't Google Woody Allen controversy. Don't do it.
No. No, exactly. Oh, I don't know. Should I take you to school or bring you home? I don't know.
Oh, no.
It's just, yeah. All right, let's fucking move on. We've gone into weird waters here. Speaking of sex scenes, hand check everyone at PAX. Jesse Garasha, how was your time at PAX East? What did you do? Was it paint a picture? Were you there kind of hanging out at seeing some panels? Were you like just spending all your time in the indie game mega booth, or what was the plan? How'd you spend your time?
I'm a show floor guy. I like going to PAX. It's my second time now, and I will probably continue to go because I like Boston and I like PAX. I'm a big proponent of going out and playing the games myself. I got some emails in advance that were like, come check this out, and I was like, yeah, there's a couple that I signed up for and got appointments, which was really cool. I got to talk to a lot of devs, which was really nice. It was like a good opportunity, I think, to get the word out about stuff that we're doing in the near-ish future, which was cool. There's a lot of excitement and a lot of trust in the brand. We have a safe brand that people believe in.
Well, we're changing that brand, so
right. So they better get over that.
Yeah,
that's going to be moving. But yeah, so I saw a lot of cool games. I went to the Dread XP booth and played a game called White Knuckle, which was very, very good. Talked to the dev there, and they were like, every time, and Danny, you said this happened at GDC, every time I would just have a casual conversation with this is a really cool game. When'd you start making it? And then at the end, I'm like, oh, I didn't introduce myself. Sorry, hi, I'm Jesse from Noclip. And they're like, Noclip! And I'm like, man, I didn't want that. I just wanted to have a nice conversation. But they're so like, they're so happy to talk to anyone from there. And they're like, wow, they care about our games. And I'm like, yeah, we care about video games. So that was cool.
Thanks for being part of our propaganda wing.
I'm happy to go around and persuade everyone to be excited.
Like one of those army recruiters outside of a high school,
No. I live in a country that's not scary. No, that's not true. We do that too, actually, now I think about it. Anyway, White Knuckle, very good. It's like a climbing game where you're...
White Knuckle's awesome.
Yeah, dude, you played it? Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Like, I was playing it at the booth. It's this first-person climbing game where each of your hands is a mouse button. So your left hand's the left mouse button, right hand is the right mouse button, obviously. And you climb up these surfaces independently, so you can use your left hand and hold on to something, look around, and then grab with your right hand. But there's also tools that you can use in each independent hand, so you can like put a piton in the wall and hammer it, but your hands have stamina, so you run out of stamina and you can fall off the wall, and it's like very stressful. I was just playing the tutorial, and I went up alone. It was just me. That's what alone means. And I was like playing the tutorial, and I realized there were people behind me. After I did like a cool thing, you get these rebar poles that you can just like throw at the wall, and they turn into climbable surfaces.
Oh, that's cool.
And the guy behind me was like, is he going to do that? And I was like, huh? I turned around, there's like 8 people behind me watching me play the tutorial. They're like, this is the sickest game ever. I'm like, yeah, this is like the best thing I played at the show.
I love the art style. It's like Quake and Salad Fingers or something. It's like super dark looking.
Yeah, it's not quite as gross as Salad Fingers,
Yeah,
but it's up
fair.
there. It's really good. But yeah, that was awesome. And the dev, I forget her name. Very, very nice that was there. That was the lead. They've only worked on it for like a year, which was
It's in early
wild.
access.
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
still in early access now.
And
but
there's a demo.
seems like it's not too far out. So I think the demo on Steam is the one that was at PAX as well. So if you want to check that out. Splitgate 2, I also took a look
Quick
at.
look that shit, man. That'd be good.
Yeah, I'd love to do a quick look on White Knuckle for sure. Yeah, Splitgate 2. It's Splitgate again, but it feels so much better. Like it feel like if you played the first one and you were like, yeah, this is all right. It's Halo with portals. This is legit. Like I was hip firing, I was aiming down sights. The portals so much faster because like in the first one, you had to do one or the other. Here, both portals are one button. So you just hit the button and like it's just quicker to be strategic. You don't like fumble the controls while you're learning it.
So is it in like order? Like first like
yeah, first portal is the one you put, and then the second portal you go through. But then if you hit it again, the first portal goes away.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
So it's just like there are not a lot of opportunities where you want to keep the first one anyway. So it just made sense from the design perspective. And yeah, I talked to the lead on that one, and he was really candid about a lot of stuff too, considering that the first game didn't do super well long term. So he was talking about all that, which was cool.
Yeah, what was the situation there? So they released Splitgate. It came out Splitgate. Sorry, it says 2019 here, but it blew up during COVID. Am I remembering that right? Is that what happened?
Which wasn't long after that.
No, but it was a small team. I think they're based around Lake Tahoe. I think and then they had an office down somewhere in Silicon Valley or around that area.
Yeah, it was a very small team. It was like 15 people or something. I think he was saying like a super small team,
and they couldn't keep.
It did
up
well, but
with-
yeah, exactly. As soon as it popped off, they couldn't keep up with the demand.
Yeah.
Like people wanted more content, they wanted more maps. They were like, by the time we have this stuff done, people are going to stop playing the game. So instead of bothering to do that, let's just go make Splitgate 2, do the same thing again, but make it better. And then when we launch, have a ton of content to go. And he was like, we have content. He's like, we have so much stuff, people are going to get tired of playing it. And I was like, that sounds like a different problem, but all right. So it sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I wonder, was there an investment or something? Like, did they get seed money, or you know what I mean? Because it was around that time that. Yeah, I'm seeing it here. There's a VentureBeat article here. How 1047 Games put its VC money into good use on Splitgate 2.
There you go.
So I'm guessing that's what happened. Is that like they had this game pop off during COVID. They got some money for the sequel as well. But yeah, like you said, I think it was a smart call to be like, we're going to be playing catch up on this thing for years. You know, we're going to be way behind what our user base wants. So let's just like get out ahead of them and sort of make this other thing. But it's cool to hear it plays well.
Yeah, it plays really, really well. I'm excited to play the full thing because I was just like, I did one match and I was like, that's it. So that's when you know you've played a good demo. You do like one round of it, you're like, I don't need to play.
Never
anymore.
want to play it again. Great.
Never want. Yeah, uninstall. I'm not playing that anymore.
Is it free to play?
I don't
again?
remember actually. Probably because it's gonna have so much like battle pass stuff. But he was like, if you get he was very, very clear about this. If you get the battle pass, you will get enough currency to get the next battle pass. And I was like, thank you so much for being rational. Everyone stop doing that.
I wonder, in a world where both Marathon and Arc Raiders have opted to not be free to play, if that also is going to happen here, like a lower price point entry thing or something. Maybe that helps with reviews as well. I wonder if that's part of it, of the calculus.
Maybe.
Like if you're a free to play game, your chances of getting a review bombed are maybe higher. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe, who knows?
There are tons of paid games that still get review bombed somehow.
That's very true.
People who buy them and forget to review, and then something bad happens, and then suddenly it gets a ton of reviews. So it's all nebulous, and we shouldn't do anything based off reviews, but we do. The third game I want to mention, I saw a ton of really cool stuff. Like I played a game called Fretless, which was really fun, and like lots of weird little indie stuff. Devolver had a good booth. Monster Train 2 was there. They had a new game called Mycopunk, which is like a multiplayer mushroom shooter, which looked really fun. Botsu.
Mushroom
like
shooter?
I didn't play it. The
genre
line was so long.
Okay.
It's a frog game. Are you playing any frog games, Danny? No, it's
we have documentaries on 2 frog games.
That's right. Good point. We're the leading source of frog game news. But the other game that I played, this is the weirdest experience that I've ever had going to anything, maybe ever. Crimson Desert, the new game from Pearl Abyss.
Pearl
right?
Abyss, yes.
The Black Desert Online team.
Black Desert Online team, yeah.
I was very excited for this game because it looks off the walls. It's like there's so much stuff going on. Every trailer is like 900 features. But the experience of playing this game. So you wait in line for like 10 minutes, it felt like, which isn't that bad at PAX. I went on Sunday, so it was like pretty dead. But when you get in, it's a 30-minute experience, but the first 12 minutes is you watching a tutorial video in like classroom assembly style with a bunch of strangers, all very smelly and on the floor and 4 days tired from being at PAX. The loudest speaker I've ever heard in my life with a subwoofer that you could feel in your chest. And it was just this British guy being like, and here's how you play not Black Desert.
I know
Crimson
exactly
Desert.
who you're talking about. It's the community manager for Black Desert Online. Yeah.
Oh, he has a great voice.
He hosts the Heidel Ball, the annual Black Desert thing they do. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
He's got a great English voice.
He
speaks
does.
like
yeah, it's so good. He's like, here's all the
Welcome
buttons
to
you
2
can
Point
press.
Hospital.
So yeah, we spent 12 minutes learning the controls, and then they're like, now you're gonna go fight a boss. And they're like, yeah, this boss should only take a little bit of your time. Everyone at the booth took the entire time to beat that one boss.
Oh, man.
It's like, imagine if you were doing a demo for a game that you've never played before, and you fought like the second or third boss.
Okay.
And that was all you had time for. No tutorial, no like
Well,
like
it
lead
sounds
up.
like you had a 12-minute long tutorial, Jesse. Were you not listening to
You're
my
right. They gave us the explanation of the world and stuff. They were like,
Okay.
here's what you'll be doing in the world of Crimson Desert.
There are sexy-looking characters with amazing clothes. Have you
No,
played Black Desert?
weirdly, they don't use the character creator. You just play as one character, and you don't get to like make your own beautiful creature.
You would have fucking spent the 30 minutes. That's the problem.
That's fine.
Black Desert Online has the most attractive characters in the world. I'm sorry, Kid Sheets from Oblivion remastered.
Oh, how dare
Move
you say
over.
that?
There's
They're
a
so
little
beautiful.
Irish girl. There's like an Irish paladin in Black Desert Online. It's yeah, it's good stuff.
Well,
Wait,
there
you
you
don't
go.
make your character in Black Desert. You pick a.
I thought you
pick
do.
one, don't you? Do you? No, you do. Do you?
Yeah,
I
that's the whole
forget.
thing. Yeah,
You make one. Yeah, you pick a class.
yeah, something like that.
You give it glasses.
Yeah, it was once I got
How'd
into
the
it,
gameplay?
it seemed okay. It's,
Yeah?
one of those. It's a Souls-like kind of combat game, third-person action. You swing the sword, there's special abilities. It looked really cool, but again, because we didn't have time to learn how to actually play it, everyone was kind of doing the same combos. But in the very cool tutorial, there was like, you could grab a guy's neck and like fucking DDT him and like do all these cool wrestling moves. And I was like, yeah, let me do that. And then we get in there and they have the little like card telling you what the controls are. And none of them are, here's how you do the one cool thing you saw in the video. All of them are like, here's how you attack. So that was a bit of a shame. I think that was probably the worst way to show off that game because it looks so wild. There's so much to do. And they're like, here, do combat you've done in the last 100,000 games in this genre. Like, it's not different. It's right bumper for light, right trigger for strong, all that kind of stuff. It's very straightforward. So that was a shame. I was hoping to see more of that.
Bit of a walled garden demo. Yeah, because
Exactly.
Black Desert is like such a, I mean, that's an MMO that's been running for, I don't know, 20 years or something. And it's like the amount of stuff that you can do in that, you can just like be a farmer. You know what I mean? They have
Right.
life skills stuff. So it's kind of like, it's kind of weird. It's not a sandbox MMO, but it's kind of more of one of those than like, Guild Wars or WoW or any of that stuff. So I was wondering how much Crimson Desert was going to lean into that, or was it going to be like Black Desert where like, oh no, we'll just do an update every week for the next like 2 decades and then slowly it'll turn into this other thing. But it's a single player game, with a story, I'm guessing, and an ending. So I don't know how much of that they can do, but
Who knows? Maybe it'll go forever. It'll be one of those single player MMOs. Like, I guess Assassin's Creed kind of turned into that for a little bit there with Valhalla. So
yeah.
who knows?
Wait
Maybe
and
it'll have a
see.
multiplayer mode. Give them a chance. One other thing I wanted to mention, I went to the Critical Reflex booth. They had all of the coolest games at the show. Like, if you were going to go to one spot for long enough, that was the place to be. They had a buckshot roulette table that was a real life buckshot roulette. It wasn't like multiplayer in the game. They had a gun on the table and like buttons that did stuff on the table, and you like place them, the RFID on stuff, and it would like
That's pretty
take
cool.
people's stuff away. Yeah, it was very, very cool. That was apparently it was very expensive. That's all I know.
Any
And then
other
the
news?
games that
Was
they
it-
had there
yeah,
were
what did they
great
have?
too. Yeah, they had a Militsioner or Militsioner. I don't know how you read words. The big cop game, like big cop stares at you from high up.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes. That was cool. I didn't play it myself, but my buddy was running through that one, and I watched him play a little bit of it. It was very good. It looks like not exactly what I thought it was going to be. Like, it's a third person or first person, walking around talking and kind of thing. But the cop is watching you like they always are. That was good. I played some of No, I'm Not a Human, which was freaky. It's once you see the pictures on Steam, I'll put a link in the description.
Yeah,
it's a scary looking game.
This game is awesome.
It's exactly what you think it is.
There was it a demo or was it an earlier version of this? I've played a version of this a while ago.
Oh, nice! It's
really really cool.
The writing is so cool.
To me, this is the sort of stuff we need to be covering on the new thing, on the new Noclip crew stuff, because especially when it's that, because we've all the games that have ended up in our Game of the Years are big conversations: Mouthwashing, Threshold, Arctic Eggs, Buckshot Roulette, obviously, and there's so many interesting other games here that are probably worth. They're like a they're a publisher, right? So they're pulling in these indie games, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Met some people that work at Critical Reflex who were like, love Noclip again. I mean, everyone basically had something similar to say, but they were very, very nice. And they were like, we'd love to, figure something out. So, hey, I'm not, but if you want to, there's a possibility for a relationship there. I couldn't remember the name of the game, Threshold. God, the whole time I was like, you guys published this game with a train and meat falls. And the guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, I swear to God. But anyway, yeah, the other game that I checked out there that was really cool was Tanuki Pawn's Summer, which is being developed by Liam Edwards.
Our boy.
Hey,
yeah,
awesome.
So I finally got to meet Liam in person, which was very nice.
Oh, he was there. Great.
Yeah, he is like the kindest, sweetest person that I've had a chance to talk to at the whole show. Just
ex GameSpot UK intern, baby.
There you go. He had nothing but nice things to say about you, Danny.
How dare he?
No, it was great. It was a ton of fun getting to talk to him. He explained the whole game. It's like you play as a Tanuki whose job is to deliver mail in this small Japanese city, and you would do all these little side quests and mini games with the people who live there, and it was so adorable. But then he took the controller and was like, "Here's how you really play the game," and was like doing BMX tricks, and it's like Tony Hawk level, dude. You can like grind and ollie, and like there's you got to balance on the little wheel thing. Like really, really impressive. Coolest thing, by the way, there's a what do you call it? A bar in the game that's based on the bar where he lives in Japan and goes all the time. I think it's called Bridge. And yeah, it's modeled after that place, and he showed it to the owners of the bar,
cool.
and they were like, "Wow, like you really made that." Like that's So I thought that was a cool little.
We're gonna
feature.
sue you.
Yeah, how fucking dare you? Yeah, so overall, I had a fun time at PAX. It was a weirdly chill version of PAX, it felt like, compared to last year, which I hear every year is the case. Because they didn't have
fewer people?
Fewer people, but also no big hitters. Like there was no Switch 2. Right. There was no, Elden Ring was there, Night Rain, but it wasn't playable. Like some people, it was a ticket system, and some people got a ticket to play it, but most were just watching the gameplay in this big dome theater. So outside of the indie games, there wasn't really anything to really draw in big crowds, which I thought was a shame. But
it's almost like indie games are kind of where it's at, and then maybe we need to put more time and energy into looking into what are the cool indie games before they come out, previewing them and shit. Similarly, me and Frank have been planning our Summer Games Fest stuff, and there's not a lot of, there's some interesting stuff that's there for sure that I'm, Frank has gotten us a couple of appointments that I'm pretty interested in. I'm not sure if we can say any of them, Frank, so let's keep it on the DL for the moment, but there's definitely, unless the stuff getting announced, and I don't know if that's what happens at SGF really. I'm sure some stuff will, but I don't think any massive games. Who knows? But it doesn't seem like it's going to be bananas there either. It's but that's kind of the way the industry's been going, right? It's all
you
these
gotta
sleeper hits.
You got to take the swings, exactly. You kind of got to look at something and go, that seems interesting. Let me give it a shot, and then it turns out to be really good, or. You spend 30 minutes playing a game that's not very good. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay. Or you spend 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah. You're like, you put it down. But you have the media badge on, and you're like, if I do that, they'll feel bad or whatever. How'd you like it?
It's really good. It's upward inflection. It's really good.
It's really good.
It's,
Hey, you guys kill it. Best of luck with launch. Okay, that was PAX East. You talked about cop games. That game, The Precinct, came out as well today. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it's got 124 reviews on Steam. Very positive. So people love being a cop. You can be a cop in The Precinct. The Precinct, I talked about it on this podcast, the demo I played a number. Or was it on the... No, was it on the
You
Steam
did it on
Next
both,
Fest?
I think.
Yeah, I think I did both. double dipped. I'm interested to see that. You can also buy it alongside Police Simulator Patrol Officers. This is the subgenre. And there is also a Deliver at All Cost bundle, which I find hilarious because these two games have a very similar look to each other.
They kind of
that game is not out for another. Is it out? It's not out for another
9
May
days.
22nd.
Looks like
that game's still not out.
It's still not out.
Haven't you finished it?
Let me talk among yourselves for 2 seconds. I'm just going to check something.
All right. There's also a third bundle featuring Shadows of Doubt, which is pretty funny. That's a good combo. You can be
that
a
seems
cop
like a good fit.
and a detective.
You can do all the things.
Yeah.
Just-
Control F embargo.
Yeah. Yes. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Nothing.
I don't
Just
know if
speculating.
I'm allowed say if I am already playing a game whose embargo drops by the time the next podcast comes out. But
Okay.
I will talk to the good people at Video Game Company to see if that's the case. But I, for one, am excited. Maybe I'm excited to talk to you about a game in the future that looks a little bit like The Precinct. Enough to be in a bundle with. I'll see about that. A game that I have been playing that was under embargo that I can talk about now is Doom the Dark Ages.
Doom.
The trilogy. The Doom trilogy has now been closed. The contemporary Doom trilogy, as it were. From id Software, Doom the Dark Ages. It is a prequel of sorts. A prequel. You play as the Doomslayer during a war between the demons and the sentinels, and the makers are involved as well.
Whoa.
And it's all very ridiculous. We have a quick look up on Noclip Crew. You should go check that out if you want to see some gameplay of it. Myself and Frank enjoyed our time playing that. What questions do you guys have about Doom the Dark Ages? What are the hot things you're interested in when it comes to this latest id Software banger?
So I know the big thing is like the shield. I think even while playing it, it shows like you can also like there's like buzzsaws in the shield. But what's the whole deal with the shield? That's the new gimmick in this game.
Yeah, the shield. So the Doom 2016 felt I don't know. It was like Doom scale. It was a corridor crawler in many ways. Then you had these battle arenas and the combat chess and like glory kills and all that sort of stuff. Doom Eternal was a bit more like Soulsborne-y. Like it was about sort of like windows and, what weapons to use and what order you should take on the baddies and these sort of like one-on-one fights and things like that. The Dark Ages, and I understand that I'm parroting what they were saying in their pre-release stuff, but it very much is accurate that in this one, the Doomslayer feels like a tank. Like you are a heavy, brutish, like you're not wall running or double jumping all over the place. You are a tank with a bunch of weapons and you are killing so many more demons. Like in the first game, you walk into a room and there's like 5 imps, right? And you like take out the imps one by one, you shoot them, you get undercover. In this one, you walk in a room and there's like 10 guys and you just like shield bash one of them so hard that all 10 explode. It's just
Oh my God.
completely ridiculous. The shield is essentially the parrying system. So this game has a parry system where whenever a enemy, usually the bigger enemies, either do a melee attack on you, like they're swinging a sword or they're stomping you with their foot, or they are a projectile enemy and they are like shooting out projectiles, red projectiles. Whenever any of them are green, you can parry them. So if they're shooting at fireballs and then one of them comes out that's green, you can go up and hit it with the shield. You put the shield up right beforehand and it'll directly go back to them. It'll zoom in on them, home in on them, right? Same thing, if somebody hits you with a melee strike, you parry them and then it creates, sometimes you have to parry them like 3 times in a row and then it creates a window where they will take extra damage. So you are constantly using the shield to do that. You can use the shield for other stuff. You can throw it. It has these blades on the sides. So there are certain enemies where throwing the shield is the advantageous sort of thing you should do. There's also a brief sort of, there's so many systems in this thing where like you can use the shield to cross chasms by throwing it in something and then jumping and catching it so it pulls you over, stuff like that. But they're in specific places. But essentially that's what like sort of the shield is for, and that is also demonstrative of the overall combat in this game, which is a very rock, paper, scissors with all of the different guns, with all of the different demons. And while that was also the case in the previous 2 games, it is like turned up to 11 in this one. Like you are fucking using melee on this guy, you're punching him to get ammo, you're kind of glory killing this. The glory kills are not really glory kills in this. It's just kind of like used all the time. You can right click and hit spacebar and you will run across and smash somebody with your shield. You can get health if you kill the mobs with that. There are some ones who have like plasma shields you have to kill in one way. There are other ones who have metal shields. You have to shoot a bunch so they get hot. And then when they get hot, you throw your shield at them. It's just every enemy has like it's a puzzle. And then what the game does is it sticks 10 of those puzzles in the room with you and goes, good luck, motherfucker. And it's awesome. I'll be honest, the first few levels, it took me a while to get into it. I was like, I don't know if I like this. You are teaching me a lot of systems. It slowly does it, and I think the level that we show off in the quick look is the first one I did where it all snapped together, where you are literally flying a dragon around a map that has 4 of these big battle cruisers in it, that you use your dragon to take out all the turrets on it, and then you land the dragon on the ship, jump off the dragon, first-person shooter, destroy this whole ship, get to like the core of the ship and you smash it with your shield. The screen goes white because of the explosion, and then suddenly you are the Doomslayer falling from like 2,000 feet down into the city, landing on your dragon, and then going off to kill the next one of these like spaceships. It's epic. It's really crazy.
Do you think if you went back in time and told 13-year-old Danny, 14-year-old Danny, playing Doom for the first time, that was what Doom was going to be?
It's weird because in many ways it doesn't feel doomy. Like it feels like, we all said it looked a little Quakey,
Sure.
Quake 1-y, I guess. And it really doesn't either. Like it's this weird cyber future past Viking world. It's very, it's unique. Like the world design's incredible. These guys, like the work that they did in the first 2 games to build those worlds. The architecture in this game looks fucking incredible. The enemy design and the animation is terrific. It's still like it feels more mature and assured of itself. The levels are all over you have your sort of normalish corridor crawly style one that's very reminiscent of the previous 2 games, and in those there are lots of puzzles and stuff and hidden bobbleheads and all that lark, right? That's all in there as well, and all these different systems and upgrading your guns and there's you can climb up these certain walls and all this sort of stuff. Then there are the levels that are a bit more mechy, like you can get in one of these huge mechs and then you are playing at like a huge scale, and it's kind of like a melee like demon punching game. It's awesome. And Hugo Martin, of course, worked on concept art for the Jaegers for Pacific Rim, so it feels very sort of in his wheelhouse there. And then there is the whatever somebody said Panzer Drag Doom in the comments of our quick look. You're flying around on your big dragon thing.
What's that about? Can you like summon that whenever, or is that a specific story thing?
I think it's in specific levels, and you can only land in specific spots. Like there are spots that you clear them out, and then there are press control, and then
is there exploration you can do with that? Like
that's what I was gonna ask. Is it like a rail shooter when you're on the dragon, or is it kind of just a separate open world section?
It's in that initial level, at least, it's a rail. You'll see a lot of footage of it looking quite rail shootery because they're sort of teaching you the ropes, and there are these tunnel sequences where you're sometimes chasing somebody. It's open, but it's not like you could like go anywhere. And maybe there are later levels where you can do a bit more than this. But like for instance, in that initial level we show in the quick look where you can land on the 4 battle cruisers, there are also other places you can land. Again, they're preset. One of them is there's a big demon on top of, we actually do it in the video, there's a big demon on top of one of the towers, and if you kill that one, which I'll say like the actual combat of killing like the large demons and the battle cruisers is like fairly structured. So you right click there are 3 different turrets that you're taking out on this battle cruiser. You go up to one of them and you right click and you basically lock, right? You're locked onto them. And at that stage your movement is cardinal. It's up, down, left, right, and they shoot things at you. And if they're green and you dodge them the right direction, you get a window to shoot them back. And then you do. And you do that enough, and then you get swapped over to the next one on the cruiser. So it's not fucking Elite Dangerous. You know what I mean? Like it's not Drakan Order of the Flame, to talk about everyone's favorite dragon game. It's more prescribed in that way. But I think the game does such a good job of making sure that all of these things that you do are just short enough that you don't get bored. You know what I mean? Like you're doing that, and then you're doing this, and then you're killing that one, and you're doing this, and then, okay, we're going to give you a new gun, and then, we're going to introduce this weird new enemy, and then we're going to have you fight in this new weird place, and look at the architecture here, and da-da-da-da-da. And if the whole experience feels expensive, like it kind of feels like the way first-person shooters, I feel like, used to feel back in the aughts, where you were like, man, they ran a lot of track here. Like they made a lot of game, and there's a lot of systems in here. And obviously there's no multiplayer or any of that stuff. They've put all their eggs in the basket here. And there's like cutscenes and voice acting and gross demon fucking baddies that look like a cross between a Xenobite and that one George Michael music video where he wore red spandex.
What?
It's I don't know what that guy's called, but he's fucking terrifying looking. There's just a lot of game in here. And the more I played it, the more I've enjoyed it. I haven't completed it yet. I'm over halfway. I think there's like 19 levels in total or something. It seems like it's beefy enough. Yeah.
How does the pacing feel? Because I watched a bit of the quick look, and just from your description of it, I feel like there's so much going on in this game. Do you feel like it takes time to like sink in? Because you're like going from first person mode to like flying to fucking the dragon to a cutscene to this to like, does it feel like it sinks into each one of those individual things and kind of like commits to it for a while and lets you get a flavor for it?
Yeah, I'd say that it's the pacing. Like, I think the reason I picked that level for the quick look was because it's so fucking bananas. Like,
it's frenetic is an understatement.
Yeah, it's and the stuff you're doing is also like, you come up to our first demon and I'm like dodging out of the way, and then the kill shot on it is that your dragon grabs its mouth, like rips its neck open and like fires down its mouth like Godzilla style. Yeah. Like it's just ridiculous. Yeah, the opening levels have moments where it's crazy, and then slower moments where you're sort of exploring and stuff like that. But I don't know, actually, like, because even the level before that one, I think, is the first mech one you do. And that's just insane from start to finish.
It's just like, I feel like this game is doing so much that it's like, I guess I'm just wondering, like, do you feel like is the first person combat sort of like the bread and butter and you're spending most of the time doing that? Or is it sort of like giving sufficiently like even chunks to all of these different mechanics? Or are they sort of like side dishes?
No, I would say, no, it's mostly the first person stuff. I hear what you're saying, because in this one, the first person combat parts are sort of these like small nuggets in a more crazy flying around doing. No, in those levels that's the case, but then you'll get like two or three levels of more standard first person fare, let's say, cool. And then the mech ones as well. So no, I think it's predominantly the first person stuff, and the combat's really good. Like I was saying to Frank, we didn't get to one in this one because I didn't want to show off too much, but there are levels that you walk out in, like you walk into a room or like an area, and there are like, they all turn to look at you, it feels like, and there's like 100 fuckers.
Ooh.
Like spiders and fellas riding beasts and big demons and just like 30 random mobs. And I just go, how the fuck am I going to win this? Like, there's no way they expect me to kill all these guys. And then you do it first time and it's insane. And it feels like you've been on low health the whole time. Like, I don't know what they're doing behind the scenes to like make you feel that threatened, and you're parrying. Like we did one boss fight in the quick look where I'm on 2 health and I parry that guy like 20 times in a row to kill him. And like those moments just feel amazing where you're like, dung, dung, and then he's like, raw, dung. And every time you're like, the parry windows are like, you know, you can mess with them as well if you want, but it feels like, holy shit, like, how am I doing this? I'm blocking that shot. I'm fucking, and they're all frantically trying to murder you. And because there's so many of them doing it, it really feels epic. Like even more so than the previous 2 games. It feels like you are just, it's the most like powerful I think I've felt in a game before, while also not feeling like I am like God mode, right? That I am impervious to everything. Should we call this in God mode? Is that
you're sticking to the name now.
Check out our new website, God Mode, for a little bit of
like
scripture
Doom
and a little bit of
the
game coverage.
Yeah. Yeah, Doom has jumped the shark. It's time to walk it back. We need to go back to boots on the ground Doom, all right? Get us back in the spaceship. We're going to shoot normal stuff with regular guns.
I just want to find the blue key, man. That's all
Bring
I
the
want.
flashlight back, you know? Bring the flashlight back.
How does the fall of the Roman Empire connect to Doom the Dark Ages?
What the fuck?
Is that included at all, or
when
does Charlemagne come up?
Yeah, Frank was also kind of like, man, I thought this is set during the Dark Ages. And I'm like, this is not set during our Dark Ages. This is set during some fucking pre-Earth race of humans as Dark Ages, where they have significantly cooler and more Cthulhu-like looking technology that we do not have access to. My favorite one is the Makers. The Makers are like the creepy alien race who, at the start of this game, the Doom Slayer is essentially a like captured weapon, like that in moments of crisis, when they're like incredibly futuristic, like insane weapons don't work against the hordes of demons, they just shoot him down like that fucking Red Bull guy in that balloon. They just like launch him from the fucking from a like a plane floating above the earth in like a pod. He's like the tear in case of emergency Doomslayer. And they're like, it's so good. Like the stuff, it's less like on the nose comedic than it's taking its own lore seriously. Like all the chats between the Sentinel people are very straight, and also the threat is taken really seriously, and the demon guy who's in charge of everything is like super, straightforward, but there's some stuff around the edges. The Makers I love because they just look like a mix between the Harkonnens and like the Odos, who aren't in, I don't think they're in the Doom movies, but like the other family from Dune, like sort of future techie. So it's I'm into it. I'm into the look of it. It's very silly. It's a good game. Doom the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
It'll be out by the time you listen to this. It's actually out they have their early access window thing for this. So if you spend an extra lot of money, you can
it's a recurring theme there at Microsoft.
You gotta pay extra. You want to play early, you gotta pay extra. We want $100. Oh my Christ!
Did they resurrect David Lynch and hire him at Microsoft? What
Can you believe it? Doom the Dark Ages is out, and if you have Game Pass for $30 more, you can get the premium edition.
Oh God!
Golly!
Oh no! Oh.
If you don't, you'll get it Friday. It's another Friday. Doom the Dark Ages.
They've added Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
Yes.
Exactly.
She's in Doom.
She's in Doom. So mine is more of I've gone Woody Allen on this or
So it's right cusp between the two.
Keep going and you'll hit Bob Dylan. I think you can do it.
It's somewhere in the spectrum.
We're here playing video games.
Oh.
Whoa.
Now we're the Beatles.
I told a whole story about Bob Dylan and my uncle.
Oh, yeah.
That was actually Bruce Springsteen.
It's okay. He's part of the movie Music Man cinematic universe, so it's all right to make that mistake.
Yeah. I was thinking about
Bruce
it
Springsteen
about a week later, and I was like, oh, whoops, that was the boss. My bad.
Whoops.
Close enough.
Yeah, so it's $70 for the regular game and $99.99 for premium edition.
Are video games too expensive?
Advanced access.
Someone should talk about this.
I mean, they cost $60 like 30 years ago, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you use the inflation calculator on this website, then really they're cheaper now.
They're much, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Do that with
I don't
rent and
about
let me
you,
know
but
how
we
that
have more
compares.
money now than I had when I was, you know what I mean? Like Ireland's economy was fucking
Yeah,
not,
sure, the number.
not awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Houses probably were proportionally cheaper.
well, that's very fair. Yeah.
That's where it's at, right? It's like it's a whatever.
My parents
whole
bought their
argument.
house for £40,000 in 19.
Yeah, everything used to cost like a blueberry. You know, it was different.
I also just pulled up a 1996 Toys R Us advertisement in which Doom 64 is $74.99 in 1996 dollars. So, you know, just food for thought.
And after you've spent that money, the game you're playing is Doom 64.
You get home and you have Doom 64 to thank
Yay!
you.
We have Doom at home. Yeah, Doom the Dark Ages. Check it out. Check it out. Bethesda also sent me a special edition one. So should I do an unboxing? Is that a thing people give a flying chuggins about these days?
Look
at this expensive thing.
Why not?
Look at this. You talk about games not being expensive enough. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a I don't even, is it a statue of the Doom Slayer?
Well,
What's
you'll
the-
find
what's
out in
in
the
the
unboxing.
Doom Collector's Edition. That's why I need to do it.
There's
Is
no
this the
game in
one?
there, right?
There's a code.
No.
But I already have
Really?
it
All right.
because they gave me one for the review for the thing. It comes with a big Doom. Is this the one they sent? Actually, I have to open it, so I have no fucking idea. It looks like it has a big Doom Slayer statue in it
That sounds right.
and a red key, which might be the coolest thing about it, actually. Like that red key looks pretty
I
cool.
wonder what it opens.
Huh.
Thanks, Frank.
That's a good question. Yeah.
That was such a polite laugh.
Yeah.
Love it. Jeremy, let's pivot over to you. You have played another indie banger, maybe another quick look we should do. What are we talking about today?
So this game came out mere hours ago. I woke up today and was waiting for the drop of it so I could download it and play it and report before the podcast. This is Labyrinth of the Demon King.
Sounds like a Jeremy game.
It is a Jeremy game. I have become a stereotype. This is, how do we even explain this? It's a survival horror game. By all accounts, this is a classic throwback, like PS1 era, crunchy, gritty, dithery looking ass survival horror game. But it plays more like King's Field, the old FromSoft first person dungeon crawler.
Oh, cool.
So it is a first-person melee combat survival horror game. I kind of looked up nothing about it because I saw, a few screenshots, and I loved the art style, and I loved the horror, like Japanese horror thing that was going on there. So I kind of went in blind on this, and I thought it was going to be way more of a dungeon crawler. But it literally is like a first-person melee survival horror game. So
Cool.
this is the story setup for this that happens at the beginning is that in this sort of old-timey Japanese like Jidaigeki setting of samurais and lords, your lord leads you and all of your guys into battle, and everyone dies except for you, and your lord sacrifices himself to save you. And so this is you going to get revenge on the demon lord to avenge your fallen lord, which is like fucking awesome. I mean, look out, Doom the Dark Ages. This is a pretty fucking metal pitch.
Yeah, love it. You being the only survivor and then immediately doing the most dangerous thing you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Redeem them. Yeah.
So the feeling of this is very like I sometimes feel like I'm playing an old sort of like it reminds me a lot of Kuon, like another FromSoft game, survival horror game, old timey Japanese setting as well. But sometimes it feels like it has like that weird sort of Dark Souls feeling of when it's so empty and creepy, and the like everything is like grimy and dirty, and the world is so empty that when I came across the first NPC, I was like, it was like scary because there's so little going on that I just saw this, this woman standing in a field, and I was like, oh, this is either where I learn how to save the game, or it's the first like boss fight that you're supposed to lose.
Right.
But yeah, so it's this very sort of like gamey setup of go defeat the four lords and the four towers, and then you can face the Demon King.
Sick.
And pretty straightforward. It reminds me a lot in its setup of Dark Souls 1, where you have to like ring the bells to proceed. It gives you this sort of like overarching grand thing, and then it's just like, all right, well, like good luck. But
what are the enemies like? You fighting a lot of yokai and oni and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, they're like little like goblin ass yokai looking creatures with kind of like mangled, weird, featureless faces, like they've been like burned or mangled or something. But the sort of the most striking thing about this game to me was it has this like the first cutscene came on and it was so fucking compressed that at first I was like, oh no, is this is this a technical error? Was this like, this is a first time developer as well. I wasn't even considering that when I was playing it, but I found that out after. And if I had known that, I'd be like, oh no, that's so sad. Like this guy like fucked up the compression rate on these cutscenes. Right. But it's so perfect in this way that you start to discover as you see more of the cutscenes. And there are quite a few of them. There's also sort of the like little transition cutscenes like old Resident Evil where you go to a door and it cuts to the black void with just the door opening. Like that shit is all over this. But the cutscenes are so compressed and artifacty that when it shows like, it's like a slow push in on a monster like eating another monster or something. And it's so fucked up and compressed that you're like, you can't really tell what you're looking at for part of it. And it reminds, and that feeling is like, that's what playing horror games as a kid was like, where you're like, it's this feeling of seeing something you're not supposed to. It's like you found a channel between two channels and there's like a scrambled signal coming through. It gives it this really like uncanny horror, low fidelity horror that isn't just, usually when I think low fidelity, it's like low poly or compressed textures. This is like my like TV is fucking up and I'm like squinting at the monitor and I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to fight whatever that is. So I want to see what it is. But yeah, just like gross, wet sounds and horrifying ambience and like really like low visibility all kind of culminated into this very sort of murky, foggy, sludgy samurai horror thing.
That's cool. Do you think it'd be a good case for a quick look? Like,
I need to play a little bit more of it.
Okay.
It starts very slowly, which I think is good for like the game tone setting.
Playing.
Yeah. But I think if we did a quick look from the beginning, it'd be like, all right, and this is the part where you walk down a very long cave. There's a lot of cave here, as you can see, a lot of real estate. I'll play a little bit more and I'll report back on it.
Cool.
Maybe we could like start at the first dungeon though. Once I complete, I'll reserve a save on the side at that dungeon and we'll see. But I so far really, really enjoying it. Highly recommend it if you like Kingsfield or Kuon, or if the combination of those two appeals to you.
Developed by J.R. Hudpole, I think is the name, and published by Top Hat Studios, who I've talked to in the past. I think it's an individual, actually. He's a publisher, published a bunch of predominantly like unknown indie people. So that's really cool, actually, to see them attached to them. They seem like their heart is in the right place.
Yeah. The only other thing about it that I think is worth mentioning is, there's a million things that are cool about it, but the last thing I'll say is that like first person dungeon crawlers, I think for me, there has to be like, I don't find first person melee combat particularly engaging. Usually it's a very hard sell for me. And when I go back and play games like Morrowind or Oblivion, it's not that I'm like, wow, the combat is so sick. It's that the larger framing is interesting enough to me that like it contextualizes the combat. That like if I played a prototype for Morrowind, they're like, this is the game, and it was just like a gray box where I did that combat, I'd be like, I don't know about this Morrowind thing, guys. Like you might want to go back to the drawing board. And I think that the narrative and horror aspects of this game create such a compelling atmosphere and like cognitive framing for this that it sucked me in enough. I think some people will find the combat a little janky, but it has this like push pull like parry stamina management thing going on where you're very from Softy, where you're like watching enemies, you're getting ready to parry or block, do a kick and interrupt and things like that. So I think it has enough sort of like rock paper scissors complexity to it that I'll be curious to see how deep it goes. But
right.
But I think this is more about like, again, like Kuon. Go play Kuon. It's one of my favorite survival horror games. The combat is kind of ass. Like
go play it. Look, I put 25 hours into Oblivion recently.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody's going back to that game. As bad as Morrowind is in some of that respect, Oblivion's not that much better. There's a reason why I only ever do arrows in that game.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah, it's like, Silent Hill 1 through 4 are some of my favorite games of all time. But again, if someone was like, yeah, I'm working on this game, it's called Silent Hill, and it was just a gray box with the combat, I'd be like, I don't know, man. This is like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people keep going back and being inspired by Kingsfield, but that game was not particularly well received, right? Like it didn't do
Back
hot.
in the day,
I'd
it was
never
not.
heard of it until after.
Kingsfield 1
knew about it, to be honest.
It's really, really fun. I mean, Dark Souls 1 was my first FromSoft game, so it's not like I was playing Kingsfield as a kid, but I've gone back and it's very, similarly sort of weird, like vacant, liminal vibes to it, where it's like, I don't know. Yeah, Kingsfield is very cool. It's been cool to see games like Lunacid and Fly Night, and now this kind of going back to that slow, sludgy first-person dungeon crawler and kind of bringing it back.
Totally, yeah, and it's like it's a retroactive. It feels like nostalgia. Like I don't think. I mean, maybe. Don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like most people were like clamoring for Kingsfield games. I feel like the From Software's later releases did really well, and then they were like, what else did they make? Oh, this is cool. And then now it's like, what if we like recombined this and made it better? But they're all pulling from that same sort of place of like, the thing that's cool about this is the environment is really eerie, and it's like, how do we build our own version of that? And like Dread Delusion in the same sort of way, although I think that might be a little more Morrowind inspired, are doing that same sort of thing of like going, that's what was cool about this. Like to your point, Jeremy, like the combat, it's okay if it kind of sucks if I get to go to a cool place that you can't see anywhere else. So yeah, that's
agreed.
Nice.
I will say though that I'm glad that they tried something. I think this game could have gotten away with just being really narrative and atmosphere driven, and just having it be like click to swing, and then you're like backing up, and then you're clicking to swing and moving forward. I actually do think the like parry system and dodging stuff, it adds enough of sort of like a gaminess to it. The other thing is you can, if you hit space, you can dodge like left to right, and there's a short window in which a dodge does not cost stamina, but if you do a second dodge, it does cost stamina. So it constantly feels like you're trying to stay close to enemies and land parries and dodges and stuff, as opposed to just like, again, like when I played Oblivion, it was like hit the guy and then just like run backwards for 5 seconds and be like, all right, now wait till he does this little animation and I'll come back.
I'll be interested to hear what you say about this stuff, having played a bit more as well, because like a lot of this stuff is going to feel different a couple of hours in, how much that stuff sort of keeps pulling you, because then that'll be even stronger. Or same with the combat stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's like a good lineage here. Like I've not played Kingsfield, but like Amiga and PC and Atari, well not Atari, but like Commodore stuff. There's like a good lineage of first person dungeon crawlers. They weren't like FPS like Doom, but they were like sort of screen by screen kind of stuff. But yeah, that central mystery of kind of going deeper into the dungeon, deeper into the dark land, I think has always had like a cool appeal to it, which I think even games like Dark Souls and Silent Hill, like they're games where you are descending into the scary world. Like the further you go, the weirder it gets, and the further you go, the more the game can fuck with you and be even more crazy, because you've sort of like you've spent time in that world. So yeah, I'd be interested to see kind of how crazy it does get for you, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep playing it. I'm still in the first dungeon, but loving it so far.
Nice one. It's Labyrinth of the Demon King. Frank Howley, you've also played a new game. It's almost like we decided to start reaching out to people about games that we can talk about. Can you talk about this yet? Is the embargo?
Yeah, it'll be out Friday when the podcast is out. And then,
Sick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Capcom Fighting Collection 2.
This is great. So I'm a big fan of like just Capcom as a whole. Like I have the sticker on my phone. Like I love Capcom. One of the best game libraries of all time, publishes everything. So anytime there's any like re-release, remake, remaster, I'm stoked. This is Capcom Fighting Collection 2. In like the past few years, they've done like collections with the Darkstalkers, other Street Fighter Alphas. Marvel vs. Capcom was its own collection. This collection I like because it's like their deeper, weirder games. This is basically like all their like B tier. Like I love a lot of the games in this collection, but these are like the secondary like Dreamcast wave of Capcom games. So there's in order of like a release date. The first game in here is Plasma Sword, which a game I had never played before. All these games are like on a 2D plane, but It's a 3D graphic game that's kind of like a sci-fi Soul Calibur. So you're in space, you got like lightsabers, and all the character designs are so funky and weird. So Plasma Sword is really cool.
We need to say the full name for Plasma
Okay.
Sword.
Plasma Sword. Yeah, Plasma Sword Nightmare of Bilstein.
Thank you.
So check it out. I think it's Hio.
Nightmare of Bilstein, not Bill Steen.
Yeah, poor Bill Steen and his nightmare.
That's my accountant's name.
Yeah, win Bill Steen's money. Well, anyways, the really really cool thing in here is Power Stone finally is on a modern console. They've only ever re-released it on PSP. So there's Power Stone 1 and Power Stone 2.
Nice.
I never played Power Stone 1 before, but I did do a run through that. But Power Stone 2 is like Capcom's like Smash Brothers. It is like a 3D game. I have memories
because you said this is a 3D. Power Stone's 3D, right?
Yeah, Power Stones is 3D. This is like basically, I always refer to it as like their Smash Brothers. I have memories as a kid going to like sleepovers and we'd all play Power Stone 2 on friends' Dreamcasts. This is like a 4-player fighting game where it's like you're picking up weapons, you're smashing people with hammers. If you collect the Power Stones, you evolve into like a super version. It's like equivalent of like getting the Ultimate Smash in Smash Brothers. So it's a very, very fun game. This collection does have online. I wasn't able to play with any of my friends because it wasn't out at the time playing in advance, but I do want to do multiplayer stuff with this. So Power Stone 2 is awesome. It's so goofy, but it holds up. There's like giant boss battles. It's just, I don't know. It's a really fun game, so I'm eager to play that online. And then we have the Capcom vs. SNK games. So Capcom vs. SNK 2 is like one of my all-time favorite games. That was the game that kind of introduced me to the SNK world of fighting game characters. I never owned King of Fighters or Fatal Fury, but Capcom vs. SNK 2 on Dreamcast was like how I learned all the SNK characters. But even before that, there's original Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000 Pro, which is their first one, which I had also never played before. And I loved it because it was like unearthing all this incredible like Y2K pixel art and like 3D graphics and soundtrack. And like every time you start these games, it's like, I love the announcers in this. I can't remember the voice lines, but it's like, get ready for the fight of the millennium. Which groove are you?
That's
like,
really good.
It's like the aesthetic of the Capcom vs. SNK games are so cool. The music, because it's incredible, gorgeous pixel art, but they're starting to do 3D graphics with the Dreamcast. So it's just like, I don't know. I always like have this image in my head of like what a Dreamcast aesthetic is, and like this is the most Dreamcast game.
This whole era of stuff that you're talking about is like, because there's so many, like Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, 1 to 4, all of these games, and then we have the sort of like the enshittening, I think, of the fighting game genre in the early aughts, where it was like we all went 3D and it kind of went a bit funky. There is that middle ground where they were doing, like, I don't know, post-processing and all these effects, but they were still using like Street Fighter 3 is really in the nexus of this. And I think like a lot of these games, I never played a lot of these spin-offs. Like you mentioned, Millennium Fight 2000 Pro, which might be the funniest subtitle I've ever heard. But they all look amazing. So they look good when you're playing them. Do they look? Are they up-resed? Are they? Do they look?
It's so funny. I immediately will turn it off. By default, they have like a soft CRT thing, which like I just turn off just because it's like I don't mind if you can see like. I don't know. I don't like the fake processing stuff. You can for the 3D games, like it's the same thing as like an emulator. You can like boost the internal resolution. So I think I always set it to like ×2 and I turn off the filter, but you can like tweak the effects to get it to how you want to look. And then they do present the game in like the 4x3. You can stretch it out if you don't, but I kind of like playing it originally, and you can change the wallpaper on the sides.
When you say stretch it out, do they just pull it out? Or
I think so. Yeah. It
Everyone's
does
just
like
wide.
Yeah. So you're screwing the art. Like that's the big thing with like. I feel like the 3D games maybe not so much, but the pixel art in these games, especially like that was the thing that like like Capcom's Third Strike or Street Fighter Third Strike hit their peak. SNK kind of pushed the envelope with their pixel art. Like you look at original Metal Slug stuff. Nothing is as beautiful as that. Yeah. So like, I think that's why like when I played Capcom vs. SNK, it was like, oh my God, the character, everything looks so good. And so specifically what I like about like Millennium Fight 2000, the first one, I'd never played, but you're like, there's a level that just takes place in an arcade. There's a level that takes place on like a Japan freeway. So it's like, just seeing like Y2K Japan reflected in these games is like, oh, this is so cool. I want to be in that arcade. So it's awesome. Soundtrack's great. In between all that is Project Justice, which is a rival schools game. It's 3D. This might be like my favorite like hidden, like, I don't know, game I'd never played before. Same thing, like I'd emulated these games in the past, and even back in the day trying to get Dreamcast, I guess you could burn a CD. The easiest way to emulate a Dreamcast game is burn a CD, but trying to get rival schools to work on PC is always such a hassle. So the fact that there's like an official rival schools port out there is amazing. So Project Justice is really cool. It is a 3D game, but on a 2D plane. All the characters are so goofy. You're either playing as like high school kids, and each one's like on a different sport. There's like a tennis girl, a baseball guy, like there's a violinist, and then you can also just play as teachers and like principals, and everyone's fighting to defend their high school. And it's like there's goofy like manga cutscenes and stuff, and it's like, oh, it's so cool. So I like this because here's a Capcom game with like 30 characters I've never played or seen before, and all of them.
Sorry, I my chronology might be a little bit off here. Was this literally Rival Schools 2? They just called it a different game.
Yeah. And I think Rival Schools 1, I think, was on PlayStation. But yeah, it's just one of those series I'd never played. It was kind of outside. Like
I've never played them either. I've just seen videos and people talk about them. Yeah.
Yeah, so Rival Schools 1 was on PlayStation, so I never played it, and that had like kind of chunky bad 3D art, like the PS1 era of stuff, like Street Fighter EX. Like the art doesn't look good. It's a little charming now, but it doesn't hold up. But the Dreamcast, the graphics look great. So Project Justice, I like when you do super moves, the camera will move and pan, and super silly sound effects. Like it's a silly game. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So I'm like very excited with that, and I do want to play more of that. And then I'm trying to think if there is and then also in the collection, Street Fighter Alpha 3, which again is a great game and has like 30 plus characters, soundtrack, pixel art, everything is great. All of these are like the arcade versions of this. So Street Fighter 3 had a world tour mode on like the Dreamcast and port, and that's not on here, which is a bummer because that is like its own giant like single player RPG, like pick a level, like it's crazy. But that you can do survival mode and other stuff, but and then the last thing on here, which like
this is upper technically, isn't it?
Yeah, so Street Fighter Alpha 3 upper,
which was also known as Street Fighter 03.
Yeah.
So this is the arcade version.
God, fighting games, you should just have names all over the place.
Yeah,
it's because in Japan it was Street Fighter 0. In America, they released it as Street Fighter Alpha because they didn't want to like. Their perspective was like, if they call the game 0, they're going to think it's worse than Street Fighter 2.
Americans are too dumb.
We're moving backwards.
Yeah.
So they called it Street Fighter 0 in Japan, Street Fighter Alpha in America. I don't know. I think Alpha sounds cool, but whatever. Yeah, Street Fighter. Yeah, and then
that's what they were thinking too. The Americans are going to think Alpha's cooler. And
there was such a lack of faith in American audiences for Japanese games in this era, where they're like we talked about this before, the Dragon Quest art, where they're like, Akira Toriyama, everyone's going to think this is for babies because the art is too good. Let's make the art way shittier, and then they'll know it's for adults.
Turning Kirby's like smiling face into a frown, and
making Kirby like have so much tough like attitude instead of being a cute little fucking. I mean, he's still a pink ball. He just has angry eyebrows.
Eats people, man. Yeah.
And then the last game on this collection, which like I don't know, it's Capcom Fighting Evolution.
Boo, worst one. Boo.
So like this is a game I had never played. I don't think anyone's ever buzzed about this before. It's basically like Capcom versus SNK without SNK.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's just like here's a bunch of
Stalkers and Street Fighter.
Yeah. But like the pixel art disparity is so shitty. Like it's nuts. It's straight like here's some alpha art here. It's like it's such an ugly like I even like I booted up for like I think I did beat it just to get the achievement, but it was like, man, I don't think I'm ever like I don't think do something. I don't know. It's just I don't know why this game exists. What happened with it? I think they were gonna make SNK 3 nothing. I don't know. It's like half of a game in here.
But you do get to play the characters from their terrible fantasy arcade game Red Earth.
Yeah.
So they're all in there.
God, I don't know. It's a weird, goofy game, but that's what I like about these collections. It gives you a reason to play a game you never otherwise would have. So they threw it in there. Capcom Fighting Evolution, also known as Capcom Fighting Jam in Japan.
Right. And Evolution was kind of rival schoolsy as well, like the way it was set up. It was less Street Fighter-y. It was
and
I don't know, was it an arcade board porting situation or something? Well, yeah, it was a funny one.
Yeah, and they have their own factions. There's the Street Fighter 2 team, the Darkstalkers team, the Alpha team, Red Earth. So whatever. It's just more Street Fighter is never a bad thing. And then talking about the collection as a whole, It's very much similar to like the Marvel vs. Capcom Collection or the previous Capcom Fighting Collection, where there's an achievement for playing each game, an achievement for beating each game, a insane achievement which is beat each game with every single character, so you can take the rest of your life. And then there is online stuff, which I have not personally tried yet because it wasn't out publicly, but I do want to play this with friends. My experience with the previous collections, the online worked great. But yeah, as a whole, I love Capcom vs. SNK 2. That's one of my all-time favorite fighting games, so I love that that's on here. Power Stone 2 is such a fun game. Even if you want to do local co-op or online, should be a blast. And then the Project Justice was a true, like, oh, this is awesome. I want to learn all these characters. And then Capcom vs. SNK 1, which I never played. It's kind of good because I played so much of SNK 2 that it's like whatever. So it's like
and 2 is in here as well, right?
Yeah, so 2 is in here. Okay. I just like playing Capcom vs. SNK 1 more because I just never seen those stages. So it's like it's like getting a new Capcom vs. SNK. So yeah, this is awesome. Capcom Fighting Collection 2. It's out on all the PC, Xbox. That's so funny. At first they didn't announce it for Xbox, and then people like. I don't know. So it is now out on Xbox, or they didn't advertise it. I forget what the full story is there.
What were you playing on?
So I played it on PS5 with my Fight Stick. Yeah. It's $40 on everything. I do not know if there's crossplay. I can't remember how they handled that. I don't think so, because I remember Justin Wong made a big deal of like he was like when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came out in the previous collection, he bought it for every console so that he could be number 1 on every leaderboard. And so like when he bought the Switch version, it's like, I'm here now, and everyone's like, no, those poor kids, please leave the Switch alone. So I don't know if it's crossplay, but yeah. So if you're a Capcom fan, it is worth it, even if this was just Capcom vs. SNK 1 and 2, Power Stone Collection, Rival School is $40. There's so many cool games in here. So if you're a Capcom fan, if you're a fighting game fan, I feel like you're already gonna buy this no matter what. But no complaints other than Capcom Evolution's such a weird game. But that's hell yeah. I don't know. But
all right.
Project Justice rules. All of it's great.
Check it out. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 gets the thumbs up from Frank anyway. $40, as you said. And those games again included Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000 Pro, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Mark of the Millennium 2001, Capcom Fighting Evolution, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, Power Stone 1 and 2, Project Justice, and Plasma Sword Nightmare of Bilstein.
Nice that they include all the bad ones, like Capcom Fighting Evolution.
I'll be honest, there's something, I know this might sound contrarian. There's a version in which this collection is 3 good games. I prefer them doing 8 games and some of them are real mid.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Especially as someone who's not really into fighting games at like a really dedicated level. Like I've never committed to learning fighting games the proper way, but they're very fun to just fire up and emulate random ones.
Yeah.
One of the most fun fighting games I've ever played in my life was Ergies, Ergies God Bless the Ring. It's a 1998 fighter with like Sephiroth and Cloud and Tifa.
Man, I haven't thought about this in fucking
forever.
God, unlocked like a core memory there or something.
It also has, if I recall correctly, it has a side mode in it that I thought was going to be like the story mode, but is actually like a mystery dungeon game that's totally separate from it. So yeah, Ergies is fucking weird.
Man, they used to let you do whatever, eh?
You used to be able to just fuck around and do whatever.
Maybe we should call the new channel God Bless the Ring.
God Bless the Ring.
No, that sounds like what Frank should call his wrestling podcast. That's awesome.
His Christian
wrestling podcast. Yeah,
exactly. God Bless the beautiful. Should we do a wrestling podcast? No, let's
God Bless the Ring. Yeah.
And we could just play have retro quick looks. I could play any wrestling game. And I could that's a full hour.
Do call it God Bless the Ring. Just do that. Yes.
We should mention it only because I talked about it so much 3 weeks ago. It is a bummer, but Sabu did pass away.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Like over the weekend it was announced. Yeah, and all of wrestling Twitter, everyone is freaking out because everyone just saw him at WrestleCon and GCW and all my friends are like, we just saw Sabu, so
that's what. Do they know how? Had it anything to do with?
No, nothing's come out yet. So yeah, so people are already like pointing fingers and stuff, and I don't know. Sabu, was incredible, and the fact that we got to see him wrestle one more match was nuts. And so Sabu did pass away at the age of 60.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. What a time to do that event. That is nuts. Yeah, rest in power, Sabu. Holy shit. What did you say, 60?
Yeah, 60.
60, man. Yeah, fucking hell. All right, there you go. I'm shocked. Yeah, you were just saying. That's bananas. 60 in, like, it's weird. He's from a generation of wrestlers where 60 is probably better innings than a lot of those guys got, but thankfully the industry has changed a decent amount, or at least we hope it has, and that won't be the case. But man, wrestle to the end, eh? Crazy. All right, that is all the games we have to talk about. They were Doom of the Dark Ages, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Labyrinth of the Demon King, and then all the stuff Jesse saw at PAX East. White Knuckle, Splitgate 2, and the Crimson Desert. Frank, would you take us to Email Land, please?
Yes, welcome to Email Land. I will take your tickets, please. You can make a reservation, podcast at noclip.video, or in the Discord channel podcast chat. Our first email is from Eric. I was wondering, do you think you could see Noclip ever publishing another studio's game? I know you're giving development a crack, but publishing might be more up your alley. Is that something you'd be interested in? If yes, what are the barriers you see in that way?
Anyone else want to answer this one? Or
Seems hard, expensive, and not necessarily worth doing. There's a lot of like resources that publishers offer to developers that aren't just money. Like publishers do translation services. They'll do porting services, right? They won't do it in-house necessarily, but like there's a lot of coordination and logistics there. It's not just as easy as like Danny O'Dwyer gives, Animal Well 2 $1 million and then he makes $1 million back, right? It's there's a lot of effort that goes into that requires a ton of overhead in terms of like spending resources you have to have already. Like it's not just as easy.
Yeah. It does depend.
Doesn't necessarily, but
Donkey,
I feel
I'm
like
not coming for Animal Well just in case.
Yeah, sorry.
Just making stuff
I'm just picking names out of a hat. Like it, there are versions of it. There are publishers out there who do just do money, and that's fine, maybe. But I feel like if being so public and open the way that Noclip is about development, if you started doing publishing and you were like, I don't know, we give them really terrible deals and some cash, that would just burn your reputation, right? So
yeah, it's a whole business. I think Donkey's interest in it was interesting to me because like Jesse said there as well, it takes a lot of experience to do this sort of stuff and contacts. Like a lot of the time publishers are doing stuff, it's a lot of admin and a lot of communication that developers are maybe historically not very good at. Like the Dwarf Fortress stuff is a good example of Kit Fox basically being the go-between them and Steam and other helping to do the contracts for artists to add stuff to the game. The Donkey Animal Well situation to me looked mostly like it was a marketing thing, like he was getting points on that for promoting the game, and maybe there was some feedback, and I know they obviously did a bunch of booths as well and stuff like that, and it clearly helped. Like it clearly was a good strategic partnership, but I think the game was largely kind of not done, but like even when I played it, it was very, very, very far along, and he'd worked on it for a long amount of time, so it wasn't like there was much that could change there. Yeah, I don't know. The answer is no. I mean, ethically, I think it would be weird if we started selling games. I mean, Stunt Derby in a way is kind of that already, but at least that's something that we've put effort into. You know what I mean? It's not just
Stunt Derby's a social experiment. That's not necessarily a video
game. And it will be coming out. Yeah. We're gonna get it finished. I had lunch with Alex last week actually when he was coming through town, and we were chatting about it. We're not going to say it's going to be the best game ever, but it'll be a game you can play with your mates, and it'll be sold at a cool price, and we're going to capture the last kind of run till the end of that one. But yeah, I don't know. No, it seems like the type of thing you do if you have a lot of money, you can throw around, and if you don't have a million documentaries to edit / starting new channels, Yeah, and ethically, I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, you feel gross about like selling video games. I mean, it's okay. Just don't ever do a documentary on those games.
There's all that stuff. And I mean, everything's weird now, and who knows, we're out here talking about our creators. I guess we didn't talk about our creator. We didn't talk about our time in Tech Test 2. And we're out because, our white label stuff is producing a documentary.
So we're back in the shill zone. We're here.
We're back in the shill zone. We're in the email land shill zone.
It also gets weird with I feel like the sort of part of the reason that the Donkey Animal Well thing works so well is like reflected in the reviews of Animal Well on Steam, where you go and they're like, it's probably like 65% people doing like references to Donkey's videos or be like Donkey sent me or things like that.
Oh,
and
really?
It's like, I haven't checked in a while. It may have changed the balance now.
No, pull up the spreadsheet. I know you checked every single one before you said.
I showed my work on this.
Yeah.
No, I just saw a lot of feedback in the reviews when I checked, and this was a long time ago now, of people doing references to Donkey in it, and it's like I think that's fine. Like I'm not saying that's like an ethical thing, but it is an odd thing where like. Because like Danny, if we were to publish, like a huge part of it would be that people recognize you and your work in games and stuff. And I think it is almost like the most effective way to leverage that as a person who has a reputation like that is to pull attention away from the person who made the game. In an odd way.
It's kind of impossible to. I'm sure Donkey doesn't like when people think he made the game.
I don't think that's his intention at all.
No, but it's sort of unavoidable with a certain percentage of people. I guess they'll just see two things together and assume that's what it was.
It's like if Tom Cruise started publishing video games, I don't care who made that. Every headline is going to be Tom Cruise publishes this game.
Yeah, it's just I guess what I'm saying is it is. It happens with Devolver too, which is a brand, not a person. Though people will be like, "That's a Devolver game," but I feel like it gets into weirder territory when the brand is more closely associated with an individual, because then it's like, "Oh, that's that like Danny O'Dwyer game," and you'd be like, "Well, I just like published it," and I don't know. There's a weird way in which the water has to be murky in order to effectively market it as someone who has that kind of pull as an individual. Maybe.
Yeah, I've just never felt comfortable about selling my reputation to people. I'll sell my reputation to companies all fucking day long. Like I'm like, that's quality work, is worth a certain amount, and that's just how a lot of that stuff works, and I'm okay with that. That's transactional, but I always feel weird about doing it with like people, because like there's a delta between who I am and the version of me that exists online, and I am mostly responsible for crafting that. Like the version of me that exists online is what I put out there and what I decide not to put out there. Like I don't talk about my family stuff. I talk about my family stuff. I don't mention their names. I don't put them in videos, right? Like I'm mostly here talking about games from some sort of position of authority. But in my day-to-day life, there's lots of stuff that I'm very vulnerable about and things that scare me that don't come up in this. And like I'm part of crafting that. And ultimately, that's the reputation that you're selling. And so if I'm crafting this reputation, and I'm mostly doing it as a sort of I guess in one way I'm just trying to focus on the work and like talk about things that are relevant. And in another way, I'm protecting myself, my either ego or my sensitivities or whatever it is, right? The version that goes out into the world is a version that I'm crafting. I edit every video I'm in pretty much, right? I'm able to have control over that. If I then use that version of myself to sell shit, like that to me makes me feel uncomfortable, because now what I'm doing is creating a facsimile of who I am in immediately to then sell that to people. And that makes me feel like a con artist. Whereas, and this is maybe a big reason behind the fact why like I'd never called the Patreon Danny O'Dwyer. I didn't put myself in all these videos because I feel uncomfortable about that parasocial thing and about people giving me money because they like me. I wanted to help like produce things that have intrinsic worth outside of me. And that's why Noclip has a mission and an ideology. And it's why when we spin out this new thing, it will also have a mission and an ideology, and it won't just be us, putting our hands out on the side of the street asking for money so we can do our dream job. You know what I mean? Like so similarly with publishing, I think that would just make me feel super uncomfortable, because I would be checking in my online cred, which is not as much as lots of other people, but it's still more than most, to trick people into buying video games. Like that's what is marketing?
So, but
tricking people to buy things.
But like, Noclip is like, if you're able to silence, and this is not me being like, how dare you not want to publish video games, you hardworking person. But if you're willing to silo off Noclip and not view it as you using your brand to get people to give money to make documentaries.
Right. Yeah,
How are you not like? Are you not able to just do the same thing with a publisher? Be like, this is Noclip Games. I am Danny O'Dwyer. This is the thing. We publish the cool games. Like, is that not something you're able to square in the same way because it's a commercial transactional thing of like, give me money for product?
I guess in the same way, that's an interesting. I hadn't considered that. I think in the same way, I feel weird about cashing in my whatever online cred in terms of a YouTube channel, in terms of Noclip. I would feel weird about cashing Noclip's cred in. You know what I mean? Probably even more so because that's not just me. Like,
Right.
but
Yeah,
also
true.
me. I think then that's like if you were to tell me if I had to start a publishing company and I could either call it like Danny O'Dwyer Publishing, Noclip Publishing, or a new name, I don't want to do it, but I would do the new name.
Yeah.
Because at least then you have to be honest right from the start, and it has to build its own reputation. I just don't like the idea of translating, because the reason people like me or like the work that I do is because they value the work. And if I transfer that to like selling games, like I'm basically doing a currency exchange. Like I don't know how to sell games, but people will trust me, maybe. Like I would trust somebody to sell a game because I sort of inherently trust them. But to me, that's like converting, like, I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why people say selling out. Like that's what you're, you know, and we've gotten, the world changes and, you know, we all have fucking 5 jobs now and all this shit, right? But like, you know, I still feel like you need to be super respectful of people like that, and I don't. And that's probably why I had the reaction with the donkey stuff, because it is something, and I'm not saying boo about what they did over there, and I think they did a great job with Animal Well and all that, but like, I just know the internal turmoil that I would have over that. And I wonder, in the same lots of humans do when they see people doing something that they wouldn't necessarily do. Sometimes you fear the worst version of that. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't. It seems like a lot of fucking work as well. Publishing is really difficult. You know, a lot of people. It's a lot of work. A lot of fucking emails. I have enough emails. You have enough emails. You don't want to do that. You want to be head of comms for Noclip Publishing, Jesse?
Oh no, I'm good. I
get
can barely
pitched
keep up with
100
these
times. You know,
Yeah.
have to say no to people.
Oh, another
or ignore them.
Metroidvania. Oh, sorry,
Yeah, exactly,
Metroidvania
yeah.
developers. Jesse
Jesse does not want Metroidvanias.
We
on
have enough.
Publishing.
Unless you're Ubisoft and you make a good one. Okay, you got me. Okay, I'm sorry. It's good.
The only Metroidvanias Jesse likes are the one made by Massive.
That's right.
Massive
The only indie games I want to play are the ones made by
established
people with
IP.
millions of dollars.
Only fake indies only.
Yeah.
That's the name of our
That's the
publishing
name of our
wing.
publisher, Fake
It's
Indies
Fake
Only,
Indies
LLC.
Only.
Yeah.
One,
What were you saying, Frank?
I did want to add, in Japan, instead of Metroidvanias, they call them search action games. And I
Oh,
think
really?
Search action is so much better. So I feel like we gotta stop using the term Metroidvania and then use the term search action.
I feel like that's what happens
call it-
there, though, is like if any genre has a shit name that's basically
Yeah.
just like something like, they just go something action. Like instead of it
Yeah.
being a DMC
Right.
like, it's just a character action. It's, you know, search action instead of
character
Metroidvania.
action, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Should we call the channel Search Action?
Search
Ooh.
action.
Search action.
Oh.
And it's
Searching for
just playing
games.
Metroidvanias, and
Yeah.
it becomes dead in 3 months.
And only Japanese people will recognize that it's a
Hey,
reference.
I'm in.
And that's
I'm in.
fine. That might be worth it.
I've always preferred Castleroyd anyway. You know?
Castleroid.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, these are both good names for the chat. Yeah,
That sounds like something Cinemassacre would sell, and it's a new
like
tropic when they make their full
Search
right wing swing.
Oh my god.
Get your Castleroids.
Castleroyd.
The AVGN just going, fuck, shit.
Man, you can get 50% off dude wipes if you buy these Castleroids.
You're going to need them for the constipation.
Frank, we got another email?
Yeah, I'm hooked on
He's
search action.
like, look
search
it up. How do we
action's
make
it.
this
That's
happen?
it.
How do we
Search action. That's a search action game. Okay. Catherine wrote in, writing in as I wanted to know what your thoughts were on the BDS boycott against Xbox. The aim of it is to target the consumer arm of a major military contractor like Microsoft, both to reduce its income and to stand with solidarity with those impacted. Microsoft isn't new to the military by any means, but BDS felt it was a good way to support Palestine now. I have known some people who have canceled their subscriptions even sold their consoles in some cases to take part in this. However, media coverage has been pretty sparse outside of places like Aftermath, with many outlets continuing to cover Xbox without even a nod to this. I understand still covering the company myself, but pause when I see side coverage like streams and deep dives that promote the games more. In short, what do you think is the role and responsibility of games media when it comes to a boycott of this scale?
I'm guessing we're all going to have probably mileage is going to vary on this one, I suspect.
About like the role of personal protest and things like this or boycott?
Yeah, so I don't want to have like a no clip answer to this, although in some ways I guess there is a no clip answer to this because we haven't not covered Xbox stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you just did a quick look on Doom,
Xbox
right? I mean, we talked
stuff.
about it on this pod, so
Yeah, we talked about Oblivion a bunch recently.
Oblivion,
Yeah, which are both games owned by a company recently acquired by Microsoft.
Right,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Like,
Which is that's the thing is like
mileage varies.
Microsoft is so fucking big that
large, exactly.
yeah, that I think when it comes to boycott, like it would be very easy for me to say that I hadn't bought Oblivion or Doom on principle. I just don't want either of them.
Right.
But I mean, it sure
No,
makes
you're
it
actually
easier
an
to not
ally,
buy
that's
them.
That
the reason.
online cred, man.
Yeah.
You just left that fucking change on the table. You
It'd be
could've
so
cashed that
easy to
in.
cash in on that, but it would be dishonest. But like, yeah, I mean, I think it is good to call attention to these things, and I think to advocate for not supporting companies that are boycotted by BDS. For people who don't know, basically the short version is that Microsoft provides like software and sort of like intelligence logistics to the IDF. I believe it's kind of fuzzy what it is, but it's like battlefield logistics and intelligence services through Azure, I think.
I think it's that they use Azure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if Microsoft are giving them Intel. I think it's
No,
just they
that's
use
not what I
Azure
mean.
to-
I mean that their technology is deployed for intelligence services and battlefield logistics.
Yes, yeah.
Not that Microsoft is like, yeah, they're over there, like calling it in.
popping open Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's right there.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the other thing that is the reason people are talking about this more so is that it became like BDS has like priority targets for their boycott where they sort of are like, here's like 1 million companies that are bad, but these are the ones that would be like really meaningful to boycott.
Right.
And Microsoft became one of those priority targets, which is why it's being called attention to. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to not support companies that are boycotted by BDS whenever possible. I make exceptions for myself, so I'm not acting like I'm ideologically pure. Like I use Windows as an operating system for a million reasons, for compatibility with collaboration with other people, because it's what I'm familiar with, because there's a time cost to learning Linux and et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah, I mean, I've been vocally pro-Palestine for my entire adult life. I have family who, were involved as peacekeepers in the region. I have friends who have been involved in flotillas. This is sadly not anything new to me, what's been going on over there. And obviously the recent past 2 years have been incredibly difficult. I think most of us assumed who are sort of, especially in, back home, this is a pretty well-educated subject, and when all the stuff happened, when the attack happened in Israel, I think, first of all, that was terrible, and then also you kind of knew if you were watching this that the response was going to be insane. I did not even think it was going to be anywhere near as horrific as it's been. I think one of the things that I feel in particular about boycotts is that the left is really good at eating its own face. And I think one of the biggest problems that sort of left-wing alliances run into, which you do not see in right-wing alliances because people are happy being hypocritical, is the sort of splintering of the inside by being sort of overly critical of people's autonomous decisions when it comes to politics. I think boycotts are powerful. They are not powerful on their own. As part of a wider strategic sort of stand or alliance, they can be, especially targeted boycotts, can be really powerful. I support the boycott. I think this stuff varies. Like I guess I don't criticize people who don't follow the boycott. And I think whenever I see people, it's a difficult thing because you want people to join a boycott, but sometimes you can be overly aggressive in trying to order people to join a boycott when mileage varies in this. Look, this is the fucking Xbox, right? This is the least popular console in the world right now. It is very easy for some people to not play their Xbox.
Do not buy an Xbox Series X. You got it, pal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are we telling people to uninstall Windows?
Right.
We're not. Why are we not doing it? Because to do that would be ridiculous, because nobody would join the fucking boycott if we forced everyone onto Linux, right? Like, and there might be people out there who are doing that, and that's fantastic, and I support them. But like, you have to understand that we're stronger when we try and put pressure on the companies. When you start to be sort of overly dogmatic and spending all your energy there, then you maybe have to take a look and see, like, is this really helping? Why am I having this response? Like, what is this? Because it's a very personal thing. So it is tied to your ego and your sense of self and your sense of justice in the world and all these things. And people are angry. A lot of people are fucking angry. You know, I'm fucking angry. I've been angry about this for a long fucking time. And I'm really angry about it for the past 2 fucking years, especially now that I have a child and I'm seeing all these images coming out. My brother is fucking apoplectic about this. I can fucking barely talk to him about anything else. It's like, it's horrific. Like, it's absolutely, absolutely awful. I guess there's another element to this as somebody who grew up in a country that has a fairly robust democracy, maybe. I mean, it's a bit different since I've left, but like, one of the things I have learned in America is that protesting through boycotts is something that is so much more common here. And I think the reason is because people have such little political power. And they have little political autonomy, and they don't feel like they can make a change. And unfortunately, in the sort of like hyper-capitalist world of America, the seemingly most empowering thing you can do is not buy something. And I think that's fucked. Like, that's really sad. And so part of me has a repulsion to boycotts because I feel like they are sort of representative of this, like, it's not that people boycott and they're not getting involved in politics, but there's a certain thing where I think boycotts feel more powerful than they are, or that they're like, the rich people can weather this shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's soft power. That's not hard power. And I think like boycotts are important and important as part of a wider political movement. But I stop short of getting that angry when people don't boycott things, because I just think it has limited power in some capacity, and you know, what's working. Like, you know, what would have worked is if we put somebody in the White House who lied about putting pressure on Israel for the past 2 years before he was so fucking brain dead they had to swap him out. Like, that, you know, and that's what we should be angry about, probably. You know, like, the thing that makes me angry is, like, last year, the tax bill between Patreon and all the white label work we did was hundreds of thousands of dollars. How much of that money went to fucking giving Israel weapons? You know what I mean? That pisses me off. I'll play Oblivion Remastered because it's fucking what the fuck is, that's like 15 steps removed, and I'll sleep well at night. The thing that makes me fucking sad and makes me feel angry and bitter is that I live in a country, I have all the work we have done has directly gone into taxes that have supported this fucking regime who is committing genocide in Gaza. So yeah, but this is me. I'm not saying anyone on this call should feel that way. I'm not saying anyone who's listening should feel that way. Mileage varies. We all come from different political realities, and we all feel different about stuff. And I'm really happy people are doing this. And I'm really happy that for the longest time, my perception was, and I think a lot of people in Europe's perception was, that America didn't give a shit about this particular issue. And I'm incredibly shocked and have been really sort of buoyed by that, seeing how active people are about this. But yeah, but also it's hard to feel good about anything when you see the pictures and you see the, you know, lists of how many people have died and all that sort of stuff. So
of course,
fully support people, but like, you know, I'm not going to jump down anyone's neck for playing Doom. You know what I mean?
No. But I mean, if I think just for me personally, again, I'm not trying to be like, Danny, how dare you? But like, you know, if the BDS group is like saying this is what we'd like you to do, is just like not buy Doom, the Dark Ages, fine, sure. Like, yeah, that's the easiest thing I can do. And like, absolutely, what is the impact of it? Who's to say? But if that's what this group is asking for, and they're the group that, doesn't necessarily represent every fucking Palestinian person, but like that's what they're arguing for. It's a Palestinian coalition. Like if that's what they want, then that's the easiest thing I can do to help them. Then yeah, absolutely. In the same way that donating should be done, and you should pressure your politicians. It's like you said, it's, boycotts are not a singular solution to the problem. It needs to be one part of many things that you do to help the situation whatever way that you can, whether that's not making a purchase, canceling a subscription service, emailing a politician, again, making donations, doing whatever support that you can for refugees who may be in your own country. Like, there's loads of things you can do. And if this is one step, then it's not that hard to take it, at least for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think, like, if you're the biggest Doom fan in the world and you're like, holy shit, I just can't not have the new Doom, but I feel bad about it, then like, sometimes the boycott is good, and I think it should be part of a larger body of political action, but it is a sort of like, as a political action, it's a negation of a potential purchase. I think that, like, if you feel bad about not engaging in that, then do something that is like an active act of like Jesse said, like donate to, relief funds, talk to people, have like frank conversations with the people about this stuff, put pressure on politicians, be politically active. And, I think above all else, like, it's educating yourself is not inherently a political action that will change things, but it creates a strong foundation for all other action that you can take. If you can speak confidently about things and be educated in them, I think that like the conversations you have that might otherwise be contentious with people have a higher likelihood of being like exchanges of information rather than being like, aren't you as outraged as I am? And if that person maybe is on a different level or has a different understanding of it or has been exposed to like propaganda that has convinced them a certain way, then you being an educated person can have a more profound impact on people in your life who otherwise might not listen to like a journalist or a content creator or an influencer or a pundit. But like, if you're their daughter, son, cousin, father, whatever your relationship, having frank conversations from a place of speaking truth to power can be one form of political action like boycott can.
And then I think from the games media perspective, based on what Catherine was saying of like what the role is in that, it's weird because like on the one hand, games media isn't supposed to be advertising. Like covering a game, talking about the people who made it, isn't necessarily advertising the product, especially I think like if we do a documentary on something that's not saying go buy Disco Elysium, it's like, or whatever, then that's not,
Especially not now because none of those motherfuckers are getting any of the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Pirate that shit.
So like, it's not a scenario where we're doing advertising for the company. It may result in sales for it, who knows, right? Or excitement around it. I know Dwarf Fortress, there are a lot of people who checked it out because of the documentary, which is cool, but that's not the goal of it, right? So the goal of games journalism is supposed to not be to sell a product. So it's like there's that weird middle ground of it, but also if that is the end result and you can avoid doing the coverage, if there's only so much coverage dollars remaining from the 5 cents everyone's handing around to each other, like we might as well use that to highlight projects that are not on this list that may result in sales for something that could benefit from it and doesn't go against this boycott if it's something that you want to support, right, as an outlet.
Yeah, and I think, again, mileage varies, right?
Yeah,
where,
of
like,
course.
if you're somebody who doesn't care about the games that are coming out, or, as Jeremy said, like, if you're a big Doom fan, like, Aftermath is probably one of the most, like, politically... this is funny because the word I'm trying to think of is the word for being good at saying words. So this is perfectly surmises the situation, right? You don't come here. Maybe you are aligned with our politics in some respect, or like our proclivities here at Noclip Crew, or the way we think about games, probably the way our artistically how we enjoy these stuff, right? Whereas Aftermath, I think, is more of a politically forward. They're really educated about this stuff. Like they're smart people when it comes to this sort of stuff, but they're also very left leaning. So it's sort of like works like that. That's a smart thing for them to do, right? But it might not be the case for another group of people or for another publication or for an editor to make a call for an entire, political, people who write for another site might not agree or might not care. And that sucks. But you know what I mean? Like stuff is more complicated. It's like the thing about Noclip is like, you can very easily think about like an organization or a group of people or something and really reduce them down to like this sort of groupthink thing. Our brains are fucking literally designed to do this. We can't get away from it. We think about companies as people. It's the way we view the world largely in our fucking lizard brains. Again, I'm not a scientist. Take all this with a pinch of salt. But I think things are really complicated. And if you think about a place you worked in and when you really felt passionate about something and other people didn't, that causes friction and stuff. And then if there's legal things involved, it makes it even more so. So like you have to be really careful about things like that when you work with a group of people. And if it's a small group or relatively politically aligned, you can do something like that. But we shouldn't jump down the throats of other people who aren't in a position to do that or who don't want to because somebody feels something on the staff. And I'm not saying this about us, but like somebody feels something on the staff and they don't want to say that publicly because that person might get targeted. Yeah, shit's complicated. So I fully support that stuff. And if people want to give me shit for talking about Doom, I didn't pay for it technically. We got a code, right? So we got to send the fucking collector's edition.
Absolved.
Absolved, exactly, right? I have committed no capitalist sin today. You know, do I feel a little bit bad? Probably I feel a little bit bad, yeah, for doing that stuff. You know, I've donated thousands to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. Should I feel good about that? I don't feel particularly good about it, to be honest. I wish I didn't have to give that money. I wish it wasn't needed. You know, do I feel I could do more? Do I feel shitty about the tax situation? Am I pissed off at the political situation now that I live in this country way more than even when I didn't live in this country? Abso-fucking-lutely I am. So just empathy is important when you're thinking about people in different parts of the world who are in terrible situations than you. It's also important when building a coalition. And I just think like I really respect people for doing this stuff, but I also think you just have to remember who the enemy is a little bit with this stuff. So I'm not going to jump down anyone's throat for covering that stuff, you know?
I think the only thing to do is if you do the unboxing of the Doomslayer statue, that you should put a little Palestinian flag in his hand when you open
Right,
it, and then
exactly.
reseal the box and pretend it came like that.
I did do something. I wrote something. What was I on? It was around the start. I put a sign up behind myself. I forget what it was. But I couldn't do the flag because my daughter didn't have the right colored pencils. And it looked shit on camera. Yeah, exactly. Do something like that. Or do a donation. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe every time you cover something that's Microsoft, you have a little lower third pop up. And every time that says fucking, you know, donate to this fund or calls out Microsoft for what they do. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is that what Aftermath are doing as well? Are they just fully
know.
boycotting stuff, or are they?
Probably. I know Fanbyte did something similar. Rest in peace. Where they were boycotting another thing. I think it was the Harry Potter game. And they were like, we're just not going to do any coverage on that. And that was the last sort of big gaming boycott sort of thing that happened.
Yeah. Again, and that's another great example of like somebody like that game is really good, right? It reviewed really well.
I've settled down. I don't know about really good.
Well, I don't know. It seemed to be.
Well.
It was the most. Was it the highest selling game last year?
That doesn't mean anything.
Right?
That just means a lot of people bought it.
It means something. It wasn't a cash grab, right? It seemed like people put together a game that they really cared about.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Fuck J.K. Rowling, and you know, all solidarity with all of our trans friends. You know, and I think it was really important that all that shit got put out there. It's also like, I don't know, maybe I'm just super cynical, and I think like none of these people give a fuck if nobody buys their thing. Like the amount of change you have to do to make that shit. People still play Michael Jackson on the fucking radio. Like it's really hard to enforce this type of thing. Like the more individualized the person and the less of a sort of a framework of other people getting paid is connected to them, in the case of both Microsoft and J.K. Rowling stuff, the easier it is to do it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't fight against that stuff, but like it's easier to like go after one person, right? Or one local coffee shop that puts a swastika in the fucking cream on the top. I don't know.
Yeah.
Than it is to
$8 somewhere else now for my latte.
It just makes me feel sad. It just makes me feel that we spend a lot of time fighting the losing battles. You know what I mean? And not strategically doing the more important ones.
Oh yeah, we waste a ton of time not making any collective action that we could purposefully do, and like, but also it's the same thing you're saying of like, if an outlet chooses to not cover Doom, that may impact their income, and then you have layoffs, and it's a similar problem in a different direction. It's like, why don't we have people all taking time off their job and go like do a general strike? we're not at that point yet. We're not at.
That's the thing about protest is
there.
like I feel like there's a direct correlation between like how much it costs you to take an active protest, a political action, and sort of like how effective it might be. Whereas like, a general strike would be like insanely effective, but in order to do that, everyone involved would be potentially like fired from their jobs or alienate their workplace, or maybe like, maybe they support a family and stuff. So
mileage varies again, right? It's easy for some people to do that. It's people who have who are working week to week, that's way harder an ask to do for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously there's no parallel between that and playing Doom in the dark age.
I am making a comparison that's a bit like, the mom who works at the grocery store, she should not buy her child Doom. Why are you taking time off of work to go strike? You could be at home playing Clair Obscure Expedition 33 on your Xbox Game Pass. Like, what do you stream it to your phone.
I think these are good conversations to have, because unfortunately, this is the big fucking problem that all of us are stuck in, is that there's like 5 companies now.
Yeah.
So it's hard to fucking miss this stuff. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard to be a responsible consumer in the year of our Lord 2025. Like, fucking Disney's got some history in fascist ideology as well.
Yeah,
or like
for
what,
sure.
What,
even
or
history.
imagine like here's an interesting hypothetical, for instance. Actually, no, I won't say it. I'll keep it for a different time. But
okay.
I've gone too much on this one.
Yeah, just to extend on what you were saying, it's like when you start to it's very easy for someone to call attention to something and be like, this is a thing that is like tied to injustice, and you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have that. But if you then take that and think critically about like if I look at my computer and just take apart every component and or iPhones or like anything that contains rare earth minerals, it's like those metals are probably not sourced from people who were like, and I got my 401k and like
remember the nests
Criticized
outside the
capitalism.
Foxconn factories, you know what I mean? Like
totally.
Shit.
Yeah, your MacBook is made in horrible fucking conditions by people who like don't have, it's a,
and yet you
there's a
post
situation
about
of-
hating Jeff Bezos. How
How ironic. You participate in society.
Yeah.
Exactly. You run into the participate in society problem and the also this, also that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Of you can just point at another bad thing and say, but
you don't care about whales though?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get what you were saying at the start of like there's such a hyper like eating yourself. That's why there's like 9 parties in the UK that are all left leaning and like 2 right-wing parties. It's like first past the post kills it.
That's a great example.
It's the same thing up here. We have like, the 4 or 5 leftist parties, and then it's all the liberals, or that's about it. And then the conservatives win when it splits on some political or social or economic thing that the 3 parties agree on. It's a constant problem of like everyone is so passionate about the things that they care about that unfortunately it causes that splintering. Fortunately, it causes that splintering also because it creates silos where people can like learn more about what the thing is that they have a strong feeling about, and if they rally enough support, then they create their own thing, and it overwhelms the one, and everyone comes together eventually. But
do they?
Eventually they do. It happened in the past, where the left kind of
name
aligned on
a
stuff.
left-wing coalition has lasted more than 5 years anywhere in the world.
Hey, right-wing coalitions only last so long because they're all willing to be hypocrites.
We've all been living in right-wing coalitions our entire lives.
Exactly.
In case you haven't.
Oh wait, name them all. Go ahead, say them all at once.
So I think what does a hypothetical, Machine Games releases a new Wolfenstein game. They've been bringing out anti-fascist games their entire life, and then do they get boycotted because of all this as well? I guess.
That's the weird thing is like it's like the paradox that people say that this led to sort of like Kurt Cobain's existential crisis is that like he was this representative of like fuck the man, fuck the system, the music industry is evil, like fuck your parents, like fuck all this, and then labels were like, oh shit, that sells, and they're like putting it on t-shirts and shit. And it's like it's so weird how you could make the most anti-Nazi game and it could be published by like the most fascistic publisher and it would be they'd be like, yeah, fucking everyone hates us and we're making loads of money. It's very weird how like how easily messages can be co-opted. So yeah, to your point, it is like, it is weird how you could see a game like that signals very sort of like progressive ideas or ideology, and then still like supporting it
by like Fourth Reich Games.
And it's just odd how like on some level like a game could perform good ideas and it could be an aesthetic dimension that still supports evil shit. I'm not saying Machine Games is an example of that. I'm just saying that it's sort of a separate thing.
Yeah, but here we are. That's that's why I think some of this stuff is a bit more easy to stomach than others for people. If people were saying stop playing your PC, that stop buying games on Steam because that's a PC platform, the boycott doesn't move. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason why it attacks the weakest points, and I think that is people will do political action as long as it is the convenience factor of political action is unfortunately part of what makes politics work and not work in some respect. But great conversation to have, and I think thanks to you guys as well for putting your thoughts out there. You don't necessarily have to. Yes, and thanks to Catherine for a great question as well.
Yeah,
I think that's on that cheery note. Woo! We end. We leave email land and come back to the land of Noclip Crew for now. We are going to there will be a video out actually by the time this podcast is up, sort of broadly explaining, it's me sort of broadly explaining what the plans are for the channel and kind of why we're going to do something and the position we feel like we're in, and the position that sort of games coverage is in, and why certainly why I think at this moment, my own sort of personal feelings, why I think it's a moment to sort of shit or get off the pot, as it were. So that'll be up. There's also quick looks at the moment up for Doom: The Dark Ages. What was the first one that went up?
Claire
Expedition
Obscure,
33. Claire Obscure. Fantastic work, Jesse Garasha. We also have the game I keep calling Skill Up, Jeremy. Skin Deep.
Skin Deep.
We have a Skin Deep one recorded, and we have a bunch more getting done as well in the next couple of days, especially on some games that we think deserve some eyeballs, which I think is a big part of this, is creating a place where Noclip has tried to highlight interesting stories regardless of if those games are popular or not. They've all kind of always been relatively well regarded, I guess. Like we sometimes do stuff that's a bit more indie, especially when the GDC sessions when we did those, docs on games like Frog Fractions and Genital Jousting and stuff like that. And I think there's a big space for an outlet that really takes highlighting games seriously, not just the big games or the indie games from studios about, sort of established indies, but also putting in the hard work to highlight the work of great games that maybe you don't know about, especially as there's just so many more games coming out and the algorithm has ruined the fucking internet. And I think people need to hit the ground and do the work of finding that stuff for you. And I can think of no better people than the folks I'm on this podcast with right now. So we're gonna start getting into this stuff. Myself and Frank are also heading into Summer Games Fest. I've also been talking to a lot of folks I used to work with in the past about doing some fun sort of video shows, interesting weird shows with them. So they're getting down for that. So that sounds pretty cool. The bonus pod last month was the Borderlands review. Dear God, listen to it at your own peril. And we're working away on Disco Elysium at the moment and the Everbloom stuff. So keep your eyes open for that. My parents are coming to town tomorrow. They've never visited California. They're coming for 3 weeks. So I'll be on the podcast all the time. We'll be doing our quick looks. I will mostly be in an editing hole when I am not showing them the wonders of California. So I'm excited for that. This is a particularly silly time to start doing all of this, I think, when they're coming over. So if I'm slow on emails, that's why. That's what I'll say. And the patron messages, I'll try and keep on all that sort of stuff. I mightn't be in the Discord as much as I have been over the past couple of months. Frank, what are you up to for the rest of your week?
I'm trying to think. This is like the first weekend where I don't have it. I've been really peaceful. I meant to reach out to Jeremy about this, but I finished reading a book about Japanese Buddhism because I was so disturbed and plagued with my dad and dreams. And actually, let me show it up.
Yeah, I'm so curious what book it is.
It's gonna be big and dusty,
No, it's by Jikasai Manami. It's called "It's Okay Not to Look for the Meaning of Life,"
Nice.
and it's a Zen monk's guide to living stress-free one day at a time. But I read this, and then the next morning I woke up so peaceful. The last 30 pages is all about like death and grief, and I was like shaking, crying because like I went to Vegas and I had a good time, and then 2 weeks later I had like extreme vivid dreams of my dad being in Vegas because he would take me all the time, and it like threw me. I had to like reset the entire grief process. It was miserable. Like. And
man,
so,
I'm sorry.
yeah, so like, then I finished that book and I've been very peaceful, and I've been off from everything. I've been playing Persona 3 again, just like, and it's like the best game ever. It's still the best game ever. So, but I don't know, no hard plans. This
Are you on a
weekend for
vibe
now.
roller coaster? What's going on? You're like, oh, I'll read this book about getting over it, and then I'll play a game about how sad losing people
Oh yeah,
is.
it's just like kids shooting themselves in the head. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just some light reading.
Yeah.
Don't do
No,
any of the social links. They're all sad. Don't do it.
No, I don't know. It's all cool. It's just hyper. I don't know. Anything Japanese, all into. So
That's cool. I'll definitely check that book out. Danny and I talked about this when we traveled to Japan a lot, but like my link to Japanese culture, it's funny because like when I tell people I want to go back to Japan, they're like, oh, you must be really into like anime, or like, is it like a video game thing? And it's like, I want to go to a bunch of fucking temples. Like my like lineage in learning about Buddhism was in the greater Boston area, going to college there. And a lot of my sort of like spiritual mentors there are directly linked to sort of like the first transmission of Zen teachings came through Boston, basically. And the Cambridge Zen Society sort of like hosted D.T. Suzuki and a lot of those early Zen thinkers. So like specifically like Zen and like Japanese schools of Buddhism are kind of like the lineage that speaks the most to me. So that's cool. That makes me really happy that you were checking that out. I'll read that book.
Awesome work. Should we do a Capcom Fighting Champion? Sorry, a little bit of a pivot there.
No,
It's Japanese.
It'd be easy to, because it's like each game is. I mean, I don't have to show every game, but I could show like a few rounds of
Yeah.
each. I'm happy to if that's an
We
assignment.
have a WWE 2K25 one as well, which will be coming out probably soon. We feel like a backlog of them now as well, so we should maybe we'll do the Capcom one as well. That'd be fun. Jeremy, what are you up to when you're in the? You look like you're in the Noclip room from that video game that people always email me support questions about.
Yep, still in the back rooms. I'm gonna do a quick look this week. Been like cooking so fucking. When on social media I don't post anything about game dev, it either means that I'm like so morbidly depressed that I can't get out of bed, or that I'm cooking harder than anyone you've ever seen in your life.
I hope it's the latter.
It's currently the latter. I've been making some crazy shit the last couple of weeks, so I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to talk about it, but I'm reserving all of the toy. Fill up the toy chest before you show it to people. You know what I mean?
Hey, you need a publisher? I got a place you can talk about your game on.
I can sell my cachet for sales.
Just call it Danny O'Dwyer's Jeremy Janes, and then the title.
Perfect.
Danny O'Dwyer's Jeremy Janes.
There's already that Janes series of fighting sims, right? Flight sim games, Janes, right? Isn't it like a
What? I don't know about
Jane?
this.
Yeah, isn't Janes Janes? Maybe Janes is like a wider.
Are you thinking of the Gene brand?
Oh,
Hanes?
Jane's Combat Simulations.
Jane's
Yeah,
chicken
Janes.
strips?
Yeah. Did you ever play the fucking Janes games? They were like EA made.
Oh no, named after editor and publisher of military reference book, Fred T. Jane.
Not Freddy.
Fred T.
T. Okay.
John Frederick Thomas Jane, not spelled like my last name. He's the plain Jane. You put a Y in the middle.
Plain Jane.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Plain Jane.
That'd be a good name for a game.
Because of airplanes.
'Cause of
You're right.
airplanes, yeah,
Plain
holy shit.
Jane.
Holy shit, that could be his YouTube channel name.
Plain Jane. Yeah, play some fucking Janes games, man. Janes.
Yeah, I'm Janing.
I'm Janing right now.
Oh, yeah,
Janing.
that does sound bad.
I'm gonna play this.
Yeah. You should do that. I should call it Janes.
Jane, publisher of Jane's Defense Weekly. Dude, I'm just gonna do everything he ever did. I'll just put a Y in the middle. And I'll
Yeah,
just
this
call
is
it
like the
same
opposite
shit.
of you, actually, isn't it? In a way, it's like
Combat
it's like
simulations.
yeah, you're like he's writing like war shit. And
No,
you're
Jeremy would make a game
talking
called
about
Longbow
Japanese
2. He'll do it.
Buddhism.
Yeah, I mean, every religion in history has been co-opted to do war at some point. So I'm sure there's I could say it's what Buddha wanted, that I had to fly this F-18.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where. I couldn't find what are all Buddhists trying to find?
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment. I couldn't find enlightenment. See, I'm good at words.
I'm searching
What
the
are you up
world
to?
for enlightenment.
Yeah,
Exactly.
nothing. I would like to do nothing for a little bit.
yeah,
I
you're
went
a
to
PAX.
Europe and then America, very scary. No, same amount of scary, actually. Now, I just want to sit down, do the lawn, walk my dog, just sit. My buddy got me a paper Picross book, so I'm going to do that on Saturday. I'm going to have a coffee in the morning
Hell
on
yeah.
the porch
Analog.
and do some Picross with a pen and paper.
That sounds great.
That's beautiful.
Iraq. It's a beautiful thing. You know what's also beautiful? Our listeners. Thank you so much for listening, folks. You're beautiful. Hope you have a wonderful time out there. We will see you next week on the Crewcast. Bye.